welcome to Drunk Valorant, episode number 64. It's actually a very special episode that was kind of alluded to in either the week before or the week prior.
I think both weeks.
Yeah,
You've been looking forward to this. I have at least.
Yeah, but so all three of us are actually recording in the same room right now. Hunter hopped on one of those plainy, flyy things. And ventured his way on over
one of those
to
Korean duelists.
Yeah, the Great White North.
Yeah, I was going to mention that we all reduced our audio quality down to Cass's level since now we're all recording off of Cass's mic. So,
But yeah, it's cool. Hunter's out here. We're all hanging out in person, recording in the same room.
Yep.
Yeah, there's technically a webcam running. Who knows if the video will be released or not.
You always do this, Cass. You don't know if the video has released or not.
But, check the Discord if you're not subscribed to the Discord, because if it does get released, that's probably where it's going to get released. So
come to the Discord no matter what.
Yeah,
it's not like we're streaming this, so...
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, on that note, Hunter, what are you drinking today?
You actually know.
I do know, actually.
Yeah, so we went to Backcountry Brewing earlier today in Squamish, which is really cool because I've heard so much about that brewery from Chase and Cass. Everything I had there was good. Some of it was fantastic. So I have a beer that I had in a flight, which is the Strange Women Lion and Pawns Distributed Swords is No Basis for a System of Government. Passion Fruit Sour by Backcountry Brewing. It's good. It's really good. And I'll have a cherry cola sour from them later in the podcast as well.
Yeah, that one's good. I think I may have had that on the pod, or Cass have had it on the pod.
I've definitely had that on the pod.
Yeah, it's honestly like a mouthful of a name.
Yeah.
But funny and a delicious fucking beer. I had that when we were actually at the brewery a couple hours ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually, interestingly enough, Chase might actually be the only one with beer that has not been had on the pod before, which I've also got a couple of in the fridge that I'll be dipping into later. But I'm going to go ahead with mine, because Chase is going to have the new one. But basically, Hunter did me the favor of bringing me a volcano sauce from Aslan Brewing, which I've had on the pod before, because the last time I was in DC, I brought back 8 of them, because they're fucking delicious.
Yeah, and I had them on the pod so long back that Cass didn't remember that I tried them.
But yeah, so it's a sour ale that's brewed with blackberries, blueberries, milk, sugar, and vanilla, which I've lately been becoming very lactose intolerant. So my body's probably not going to like the fact that I'm drinking a lactose beer, but here we are.
Yeah, make the best of it.
Yeah.
Wow, the video running means that you can actually show the can.
I know.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, yeah.
Well, it's because usually I'm just showing the can to you guys on the
yeah, but we can see
webcam.
it. We're here with you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll go next, in case anybody else wanted to go next instead. I don't.
Yeah.
But I have a big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. Blue raspberry lemonade sour, which Cass had 2 of. He had one in the flight and then ordered a second one while we were at the brewery. So I was like, he must think it's really good. And so I bought a 4-pack of those, and it was one that I hadn't tried yet. So it's pretty good. Very, very sour. But it basically tastes like all the backcountry sours.
Yeah.
Since they have the same sour base that they just add flavors to. So the basic flavor is just delicious as always.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
I did try that one. That was really good.
I'm a big fan of my fruity lemonade flavors.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Welcome to our first in-person podcast. It's going to be cool.
It feels so weird being here and not talking through my computer right now. It doesn't feel like we're actually doing the podcast.
Yeah. It feels like a different podcast. It feels like a new thing.
Right.
Yeah. Super fast intermission, actually.
Yeah.
I'll just say that the noise of us setting down our drinks is pretty audible on the table. So I don't know how big of a deal that's going to be, because it's not like a horrible sound. But, I just want to... If it's convenient for us not to do it, that works out probably better.
Well,
Are they soft coasters?
No, we don't have any coasters.
No, but I mean, we could find something.
No.
Or you could just put your computer mat thingy on the thing?
We just hold our beer.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
like the rule of the podcast is you gotta have drink in hand, so like we might just have to take that very literally today.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. All right, lead us back in, Cass.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted to discuss, which unfortunately Hunter and I did kind of have a brief a little interlude last night.
We cut it off though to save ourselves for the
we
podcast.
did.
Yeah.
But something I want to talk about something that Mercified pointed out on the Discord, which is in regards to my old agent idea of the jack of all trades. Is he was saying, isn't that just kind of Phoenix? Like he's got his blaze, which being the wall, kind of like a controller ability. He's got the Molly, which is also kind of a controller ability. The Flash, which is very initiator-like, and then the ult, which is very dualisty. And so the only thing he's kind of missing is the lockdown that a Sentinel has, which you could argue that the Molly kind of does that too.
Well, when you're talking about like jack of all trades, master of none, that none of them are very good, and that definitely applies to Phoenix.
Yeah, well, aside from the ult.
And
the ult
flashes.
is very good.
But also, I would say the flashes are dualisty flashes and not initiator flashes at all.
Yes, because you have to be right there to throw the flash.
So you really don't have any initiator utility because you're not going to be flashing for your teammates with a Phoenix Flash.
There are no Phoenix Flash lineups.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I would argue there are actually a couple really good ones when you're on defense. And, like, you hear the enemy rushing up to sight, and you can flash an angle with Phoenix. Like, the one that I'm really thinking of is on Seaside Haven, when you're behind on the other side of, like, Gen or Default or whatever. You can flash either over the top or around the side. And then if you have, like, a teammate playing, like, platform or, like logs, they can swing off that flash. Which, I know that's a very isolated scenario, but, like, I think that's really strong in that, number one, Phoenix Flashes are pretty hard to dodge now. But the main downside that Phoenix Flashes have is where you're swinging from is incredibly predictable. And, like, as a Phoenix, you'll often just get one-tapped.
Well, because you have to swing immediately, basically.
Yeah.
And you can see exactly where the flash is emanating from originally.
You actually, like, because it lasts longer now, you don't need to. You can kind of...
You can wait a second
You
and
can,
then swing.
like, not a full second, but, like, you can pause for, like, a split sec.
But that's also assuming the enemies didn't dodge the flash at all.
Yeah.
Which I don't dodge Phoenix Flashes.
Yeah, it's very hard. Very, very hard.
I dodge Phoenix Flashes if I'm facing the other way to begin with.
If there's, like, a piece of...
They
like,
throw the flash into the back of my head, then yeah.
if there's a box just, like, strategically positioned
Yeah.
correctly, and by no fault of your own, just you happen to miss the flash.
Well, there's some angles like that I'll intentionally hold with an op. I don't really do this with rifles, but like there are definitely some that I intentionally hold like a certain angle with an op so that like I know when that flash comes around the corner, there's going to be something in the way that's going to block where that flash would be.
I definitely do that if I'm like holding a narrower angle that might be flashed out so that they could push it. But like, if I'm just kind of walking to sight, then no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If, like, the Phoenix times his flash very poorly with the Sova Dart landing back sight, and I turn around to shoot the Sova Dart, and that's when the Phoenix Flash comes through, like, I'm dodging the Phoenix Flash. It's not because the Sova Dart's there.
We're getting a little off topic here.
Anyway, Jack of all trades agent being
Yeah.
Phoenix. He's a pretty shit job of being a Jack of all trades, I think.
Well, I mean, the whole saying is Jack of all trades, master of none, which he does a great job of.
Maybe, but by Master of None, you just don't have two of them.
Don't have two of them? What?
Like, we were saying he just doesn't have Initiator or Sentinel utility.
You were saying the Flash is Initiator, even though it's a more dualisty Flash.
It's a dualisty Flash, but, like, you could say it's more of an initiation tool, more so than, like...
Yeah, because in the current meta, one of the key things you want from your Initiators is Flashes. And so, therefore, if you're picking a duelist who has Flashes, you want to lean into that and possibly not have a flashing Initiator, based comp-wise. So that's where I feel like it works, even though obviously the way you employ them is different.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because I'm not saying this just to make the Jack of all trades thing work, but just because I've thought about that when it comes to like, team comps and how to run, double duelist or how to get Phoenix or Reyna in the comp. And I feel like that's how you'd have to do it. Instead of running, Breach Sova, you'd have to swap the Breach out for a Phoenix. for example, where, you're using the fact that they both have flashes to be able to justify the swap a little bit more, I feel like.
But also,
that's not the only thing.
Yeah, but when you're looking at a team comp, like, you're saying, like, hey, we need flashes. You're not saying, hey, we need a flashing initiator. Like,
yeah,
when
you
you're
need flashes.
Yeah, when you're already locked in and people aren't locked yet, right? You're just like, or people like, oh, like, hey, like, I'll fill. What should I play? You're like, oh, like, we need flashes.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good point. But like, speaking about it in terms of the initiator first, that's more of a pro thing. In our lobbies, I'm not like, oh my god, you should have gone Sky, not Phoenix. What the heck?
Yeah,
If
no,
we
you don't
needed
really
flashes.
care as long as you got flashes to
Yeah,
get you out of
exactly.
sight.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
who's going to be following up those flashes changes, obviously.
Right.
I don't know. I don't really remember what your original idea was with the Jack of all trades, but if I remember correctly, it was something with like, oh, if you're just missing something on the team, someone could just, I guess I'll play this agent and like fill.
Well, my initial idea was that you would have a point and shoot. Now, I could be wrong. This is just how I remember it.
Yeah.
But like, I think my initial idea was you got these like balls effectively that you can throw, and they'll they can stick to whatever it lands on, right? Is where it is. And then once it's landed, you have the option to select between like whether you want that to flash or you want that to smoke. And so like one of the things I thought was really cool is you could preemptively just place this ball on the wall somewhere. And it kind of like an Astrostar, the enemy team can see it. They know it's there.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily know if you're going to make that a flash or if you're going to make that smoke, or like, I don't know, maybe I had a Molly included in that as well. And so it's like you can kind of pick which one you want, and then it works similar to Astra where you have a separate resource, being her stars, that you can make use of, and then the different things have different cooldowns associated with it.
Right.
But unlike Astra, I wanted it to be more of a lineup thing that you could make use of instead of just like enter a different form and be like, oh, that goes there.
Right, so it's something that you'd have to place on a wall or throw to a wall. Or
Yeah, maybe you could physically retrieve it.
Right.
Rather than Astra's global recall. You could jump and grab it off the wall.
Yeah, which I the whole idea that I had behind that was like there are oftentimes when you're the last person to pick, and it's like, oh well, we don't have smokes and we don't have flashes, and
you only get one or the other.
You only get one or the other currently, and I wouldn't really count Omen's Paranoia as a flash. Yeah, it's a really good fucking piece of utility, but like it's not a flash in the sense of like, hey, we want to pop out of this smoke and go onto site. Yeah. Right? It's like...
You kind of need to know where people are or be clearing something out with it.
Yeah, you can intentionally be like, hey, like, if they're back gen, they're getting caught by this with the paranoia. Yeah. But you can't just, like...
You can't entry onto site with it because there's too many angles that could have been held.
So, I think to a certain extent, I think Phoenix does a fairly good job of being this jack-of-all-trades agent. I just think there are a couple things that he's missing.
A smoke.
Well, I think the blaze wall.
He has Viper or Harbor.
Yeah.
Are more about walls than traditional smoke.
Well, sure, but we have discussed this. It's the worst piece of utility in the game.
Well, yeah, but like the point is it blocks off a line of sight, and Viper Wall is not the worst piece of utility in the game.
No, but it's significantly better than Phoenix Wall.
Yeah, but like
sure,
yeah, but like the whole point is it's not supposed to be as good as the Viper Wall.
No, it's not supposed to be, but it needs to be better.
Right. I think it needs to be a bit better
to be this jack of all
trades.
Just
to be clear, Cass isn't arguing Phoenix is fantastic as a jack of all trades. He's discussing the idea. Yeah. As a theoretical, not that Phoenix is actually the best character in the game.
Well, I'm just disagreeing that we already have that agent in the game.
Oh well,
being Phoenix.
I'm just saying that there's I think there are a couple changes you could make that would really push Phoenix into this role. The first one that I was really considering was I think there are a couple things that you need to do with his wall in particular, and then something you need to do with his Molly to give it more impact, because like his flashes are good, his ult is good, he just has two somewhat more mediocre abilities, if not just outright bad. And so I think if the two things that I would like really change about the wall is, first of all, if you throw your wall up and over something, that should not count towards the total distance of the wall. Like, if I want to throw that over a box or, like, up into heaven on, like, say, a Sente site, right?
Yeah.
Like, that counts, the amount that it goes up by counts against your total distance. It's like...
Which I didn't know this. So
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
So, like,
okay.
if you were to throw, like, a Phoenix Wall into heaven, which I didn't know that you could do.
You can get it up certain things. You can't get it up, like, you can't get it into Haven, a heaven.
Okay,
Doesn't go
that's
that
what I
high.
was looking at.
No,
Like, that's what I
no.
was thinking
But
of.
it goes into, like, Ascente heaven if you throw it up at that angle.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but, like, they're like, I'm pretty sure you can get it over Gen on Seaside Haven. Like, things like that. But I think the biggest thing is, like, currently it functions like a string. And that string has a set length.
Yeah.
And so by bending it over something, you're giving up the distance it can cover.
Right.
And I think that needs to not be the case. Then when you throw it up and over something, that should not count against your total distance cap.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Which is how Viper's Wall works.
Right.
Yeah.
And presumably Harbors. But I don't...
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
Harbor
Harbors
just goes
does
through
work,
shit, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Same as Viper.
And so, yeah, and then I think also it should go through shit if you don't throw it up and over something.
Yeah.
Like, if I throw it through, it should go through. If I want to throw it up and over to cover off that high line of sight, too, you should aim upwards when you throw it.
If I were to, like, throw the wall at Gen, would it go through Gen, or would it
No.
just stop at Gen?
It would
You'd
stop
have to
at
like
Gen.
angle up to go over.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
would, like, it wouldn't show up past it.
No.
I just, like, aim straight into it.
No.
They just end at Gen.
And it should go through that.
Yeah, it definitely should. Well, that's good to know. I think I'm going to figure all this shit out pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah, yeah,
I
that's
forgot
right.
about you playing Phoenix. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
And so, okay, first of all, I think that should be a change. Second, and I think this should apply to his Molly as well, but, like, it should have DOT. If you touch it, and then you leave it, it should do damage even though you've left it.
Yeah,
for a
and what
bit at a
Cass and
time.
I workshopped last night is you step in the Phoenix Molly, you immediately take something like 30 damage, and then you get the on fire status effect, which if you just leave it alone will go for something fairly long, like 10 seconds. But you can take 1 second to, like, pat your arms off by pressing, like, F or something. And, like, put it out. So it's sort of like a cipher dart. If you take a minute to deal with it, then you could not take...
Interesting.
It not be affected as much.
To pat the fire out.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, no, yeah, I think it'd be a cool new mechanic. I also don't think there's any DOT in the game currently.
No.
Yeah, there's...
Still.
Yeah,
But
so,
since
like,
the last time we discussed it, nothing DOT has been introduced. So.
right. And then the other thing is, like, so yeah, I think, like, when you get set on fire by either his wall or his Molly, it should do that. The other thing I think about his Molly is, I think when you right-click it, it shouldn't just drop on the ground, because that's often an inconvenience to your teammates. Right? Like, oh, I now have to avoid this area. I can't hide in this cubby with you.
Right.
Because you dropped a fucking Molly on the
To
ground.
heal yourself. Yeah.
You should just, like, he should, like, either eat the ball of fire, or just, like, push it into his chest, and then heal from that. Similar to...
Cass, whenever you say to eat the ball of fire, I just think of that meme where it's like, nice. That's what I picture happening.
Just shoving a ball of fire down his
Yeah.
throat.
But, like, I think it should function more like a Sage self-heal. Like, you just, you hit right-click,
Yeah.
it heals you. You don't drop the fucking Molly anywhere. And then if you want... Because, like, I see Phoenix people do this all the time. They never fucking right-click the Molly anyway. You just walk to the ground and you fucking left-click.
It's not like it
Yeah.
saves you time. If anything,
Yeah.
it takes longer for the right click to come out. 'Cause that's like a
Does the
little arc
right
to
click
it.
throw it at your feet?
Yeah, it's an
Well,
underhand.
no. So the right click underhand throws it, which means that it's faster to get it on the ground right in front of you if you just do that versus tossing it up and then having it come
Oh,
out.
yeah.
I think. I'm not 100% sure. It certainly doesn't help you to right click it for healing purposes.
I didn't even know you could right click the Molly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
only if that's only for chucking your Molly around a corner, really.
Okay.
Like
you kind
KO
of
flash.
just see, like, people, look at the ground
Look
where
at
they
the
want the
ground, left
Molly
click.
and
Yeah.
click it
Yeah.
and throw it.
Like,
Yeah,
it has the same properties as, like, the KO and, like, the KO flashes,
Mm-hmm.
though. The other thing is, there should be no
Or
fucking...
KO
like,
nade, actually.
Yeah.
The
Close.
the other thing about his Molly that's just fucking stupid is it's got, like, a distance cap on it.
Like how far you can throw
Like,
it.
like you fucking throw it and it keeps going and it doesn't follow the parabola. At a certain
No,
point,
it
it
just
just fucking
drops.
falls out of the sky.
Yeah.
Like, give Phoenix some lineup capabilities here.
I'm
I
not sure
fucking
if
hate
that's the way
myself
to
for
go.
saying this.
I'm not sure if that's the way to go, honestly.
I mean, there are lineup capabilities with the arc to drop.
but
people
like,
have come up with
but
those
you can,
specifically.
but like you can do it anyway. If that was a removed mechanic, you just have to figure out the new lineup.
I don't know what that
I'd be okay.
is.
And it would give you access to more lineups.
What they could do is make it like KO Knife, where it goes very fast and doesn't drop very quickly. So, like, yes, you could do a lineup with it, but it would be pretty difficult. And in general, it's just really quick to throw to a location. You don't have to arc it very much.
You know what? I like that, and they should also change the name to Fastball instead of Hot Hands.
Ooh.
But the thing is, then you're going to be able to, like, molly off angles that are, like, way down lines of sight.
Good.
Like, imagine you're holding C-Long on Haven, and you're on defense as Phoenix, and as soon as barriers drop, you molly the place where people would be picking you from.
I don't see an issue with that.
Huh?
Especially, I mean, also it depends on,
You just can't really do that with any other mollies.
Yeah, it's unique.
Yeah.
But, like, it's aggressive more
Yeah.
than the other mollies, which I think is fitting for Phoenix.
And also, he's already got the curveball, so give him the fastball.
And knuckleball.
That could. Well, yeah, you curve his wall. That can be his knuckleball.
Okay.
So, like, I think, like, I don't think Phoenix is very far off, and, like, I know that, like, Riot has come out and said that, like, he's actually doing pretty good in ranked.
Yeah.
But, like, I think if you just give him, like, a couple of more things that aren't necessarily numerical changes, but more like conceptual changes to the way in which some of his utility works, that he really could fit into this jack of all trades kind of agent.
I mean, maybe, but not, I don't think in the same way that you described the jack of all trades originally.
No.
Yeah.
Because, one, the jack of all trades originally is to be a fill for smokes and flashes, which is not a duelist.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, adding another duelist to that comp is probably not what you're looking to do.
This might be a perfect time to transition into the other topic that we mentioned, Cass.
Well, hold on. I think there's a couple more things I want to say about this before we go. But, like, okay. Nobody in your team picks Viper. You're playing on Breeze. It's last patch.
Yeah.
Right? That Phoenix wall to get you out onto site, it's not the end of the world. Or, like, it's not like a bad thing is what I'm saying.
Well, it's not bad, but it's not...
Okay, sure, it's one time. If you get stalled on your push, you don't get it again. But, like...
It's not controller utility.
No, but that's why you would play Viper in theory. But we're in ranked. We're not in a pro lobby. Nobody picked Viper.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, I'm fine with that, except you just have a duelist on the team instead of a controller or an initiator. And I think that if you were to be in the situation where, most likely people lock 2 duelists, and this is why, or 3 duelists, this is why you don't have flashes or smokes.
Yeah.
You have a weird team comp to begin with. And this character is supposed to get you out of having a weird team comp by providing some, maybe not the best, utility. But you could pick a Phoenix, or I think it'd be better to just pick someone that has good flashes or good smokes and deal without the other one.
Okay, sure, but the other thing is, like, and this might be the thing that Hunter was trying to transition into, but, like, I think the labels that Riot gave agents was the worst fucking idea. Like, it shouldn't be that these are duelists, these are initiators, these are controllers, these are sentinels.
I don't know how many times we have to bring this up on the podcast.
This is just the fucking agent's kit. Like, it doesn't matter that Phoenix is a duelist.
I'm saying that his kit makes him a duelist.
It makes him aggressive. By nature of his kit.
Which is not the kind of agent that you're looking for when you're looking to fill a comp that doesn't have smokes or flashes.
But that doesn't necessarily make him, that doesn't necessarily make him a bad pick in that scenario where you've got neither.
I think it makes him a worse pick than somebody who is specifically a flasher or a smoker. Like, I think it would be better to choose an Omen or a KO in this scenario than choose a Phoenix.
I'm kind of thinking that through. I don't know what I would prefer, because the wall to get out on the site on Breeze in that example would be really nice. But, like, I feel like I'd rather have a Phoenix than an Omen, just because dome smokes are so useless on getting onto A site Breeze.
Breeze isn't even in the game right now.
But that's theoretical, yeah.
Yeah.
And because, the problem is that a wall, like we discussed, is not the best.
Well, I'd rather have the Brim than a Phoenix on Breeze.
Oh, yeah, because at least he can drop 3 smokes at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably
block off
rather have a brim.
right titty, left titty, and cleavage.
Yeah, that's way better than the Phoenix Wall is going to get you. And you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to deal without flashes. And I think that the trade-off for having the brim is better than like having a Phoenix Flash as well.
Counterpoint. Maybe you don't want to play brim. Maybe you want to play Phoenix.
But we're in the scenario where you're just filling anyway.
Well, I mean, counterpoint.
Yeah. You can play all 5 duelists and fucking roll the other team. It doesn't matter.
Or you could be all 5 duelists and play us that one night. I don't remember which of you I was playing with.
I was playing with you.
Yeah, where the other team just starts crying mid-game. They're like, oh, why did we go 5 duelists? Because we were just beating them badly. But anyway, we're kind of taking things to the extreme, which is like, you know, in low elo, would you possibly pick a Phoenix to fill Viper's role? Whereas, like, realistically, the question could be, might it be nice to use that kind of, sort of controller-ish wall as a supplement to having a controller? Like, for example, would you want to have Brim for the dome smokes, and then Phoenix for the wall to initially get you onto site? So maybe use 1 Brim smoke and the wall to get you onto site, and then you have 2 Brim smokes for, like, the post plant. Like, something like that is probably a lot more realistic than just not picking a controller at all, considering how important they are.
I mean, I would agree with that. I think that, yes, that is probably more realistic and very useful that you could play a strategy like that, and then you're able to play around the wall a lot more and, like, kind of cover its weaknesses with the other smokes.
Right.
But
the wall gives you more options than you would. Yeah.
Yes. But it also just doesn't mean... It doesn't fit the description of being that fill agent. Specifically, like, what this topic started with.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a paradox. Well, paradox isn't the right word. It's a tough balance, right? Because if you had an agent who is legitimately good at all of the roles, you know, it could very easily be that they're just the number 1 meta agent, because just having that much flexibility would be a problem. So, like, you probably can't have an agent who you would often pick as your main one of any of the roles, but multiple of them. You couldn't have an agent who, like, oh yeah, they're a good choice for controller and initiator and duelist. You know, they're run 50% on a bunch of different maps. Like, that would just be too good.
Right.
So, like, it seems like the balancing has to be, they're nice to provide secondary value of one of those roles.
Right.
Because otherwise they're just going to be too strong.
Because, like, there are certain maps, and, like, I know Bind, which is no longer in the pool, was, like, a big one, which, like, pro teams would often play, like, Brim Viper.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, you specifically wanted that Viper lurk wall on A site when you're attacking, and then you wanted the orb on A site for defending.
Right.
Because that orb had a lot of stall, and that lurk wall basically kept people around. Like, unless someone is actively playing in U-Haul, or has some utilities set up to know if anybody has lurked into U-Haul, like, you need to constantly be aware of the fact that, like, hey, somebody could be creeping up here.
Yeah.
If we're not face checking it. And I think that was, like, that's a scenario in which, like, you want that Viper wall, therefore you pick the Viper. But that's not necessarily the wall that we're going to use to take sight. That wall is there to apply pressure on the enemy team when you're defaulting. And so, like, you really want those Brim smokes to supplement your actual execute. And now, that combo works really, really fucking well on that map. And so, like, it wouldn't make sense to swap one of them out with a different agent. But in the context of a different map, it could be really nice to have, you know, some kind of passive, or, like, let's just use Omen, for example, right?
Right.
You kind of put Omen smokes in areas to, you know, insinuate, hey, maybe we're creeping up here, right? And unless you're going to actively check this, you're not going to know. And then you can use, like you could use that Phoenix wall plus the 1 remaining Omen smoke you have to actually execute onto site when the time came. And so I think there's definitely some potential to be had in, like, what Hunter's saying of, like if you did do some tuning to Phoenix's kit, in which he would be a really good support duelist that can basically just ease up the pressure on some of the other roles. Right? Like, when you're KO and you have 2 flashes in a round, you don't want to just, like, toss one out kind of for shits and giggles. or to like see if you get a reaction off it, because that's kind of a waste of one of two flashes you have.
Yeah.
But if you also have 2 Phoenix flashes in your back pocket, like, then that gives KO a bit more freedom.
That just reminds me of a small little anecdote. I've had a lot of fun over the past week watching Eggwick's YouTube channel where he does Iron World Cups.
Yeah, Iron World Cup's
Yeah.
so much fun to watch.
And there was a KO, I think, for America against Canada, who, as soon as he started getting fired at, even if it meant he had to just jump around in the open, he would pull out his flash and just left-click throw it at the person who was shooting him. And it was the funniest thing I've seen in a minute.
Instead of shooting back?
Well, yeah, he'd wait for the whole flash to go off. And typically he would survive that whole time because this is Iron. And then he would, take the duel. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. But as Gas was saying, yeah, you don't want to waste that KO flash.
Yeah.
It gives you, like, a bit more freedom because you have a worse but backup.
Yeah,
As
it's
well.
just like you've got you've got some backup utility.
Yeah.
Basically, is what it is, and I think that taking that pressure off of the other agents on the team can be really good. And then alternatively, let's say your KO happens to get Sova ulted right off barrier drop. Well, now you still got some flashes.
Yeah.
Or your controller dies somehow. Like you were defaulting. Somebody aggressively pushed up with an op, got the pick on your controller.
You're
And now you have
playing your
something.
angel,
Yeah.
your angel in Champions last year.
Yeah.
Dying first every time.
Right.
I mean, I get it. I
As
get
always.
what you're saying is that, like,
Yeah.
there is, like, you have something. You have a flash and you have some sort of controller ability with the wall with Phoenix. Is it good enough, I think, to fill that? No. But you're right that it is a okay secondary and it's better than having nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Do we want to... Have we discussed the idea of not having roles in the
Yeah.
game? Because Chase was saying that we've talked about it a lot.
Oh, I
didn't
feel
really
like
remember
it comes up probably every few podcasts. Like,
Oh, I see.
these
Okay.
roles are terrible. Why? Like, it's really about the utility that they have, not
Yeah.
the role that Riot puts them on. Like, we talk about it constantly.
Yeah, it really does piss me off, though, regardless of if you should have roles or not. The fact that the duelist description was never changed and still says they need to have high frags and seek out engagements first. And it's like, no, like the high frags is very misleading to new players who, feel like that's what they need to prioritize to the detriment of their team.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of taking space. Although if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were to like write the description as like taking space, new players would be like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Well, you could say seek engagements first and take space. And then even if they don't understand
Yeah.
the taking space, the seeking engagements first is pretty clear.
or like pave the path for their team or something along those lines.
That might
Yeah,
be a little too vague.
I like that. Yeah.
Someone gets it. How do I put asphalt down? What if he does that?
Well, in the same vein, you might not know what a frag is.
Yeah.
I didn't until I started playing Valorant.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that term. What does that stand for? Something?
Getting frags? I have no idea.
It's like there's a frag grenade, like
that's
fragmentation
fragment
grenade.
right?
Yeah.
I used to know how that term came to be, and I don't.
Yeah.
Um,
Let us know in the Discord if you know what the word
Does it
frag
come from
means.
frag grenades get kills, or is it?
It doesn't really make a lot of sense if it did. Yeah. Well, can we transition to...
before you do that, the lactose is really getting to me, so I got to call for an intermission.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on. Hunter, I know that we were talking about something on the couch last night, and specifically did not
sexy.
discuss it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said the couch, not my bed.
We
We're
went there
talking.
later.
Yeah, we were
Sorry.
there later.
Sorry,
but,
I didn't realize that those things could only happen in the bed. My bad.
Well, no, but like
We're very prudish.
Yeah.
We don't approve of,
Sheets must be made.
well, there are other people living in my
Lights
house.
off,
It'd be
covers on.
Yeah.
That's all.
missionary only.
Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, what was this that we were talking about now?
I know, but you wrote it down on your phone.
Yeah, we already covered it. It was the Phoenix ideas, and it was the idea that there should be agents' roles should be removed from. agents.
Oh, is that what you were writing down? I thought
Yeah.
I thought we had discussed something else. But
I
okay.
mean, we discussed a lot of things, including things from other games that would not be appropriate for this. But I do think this is a decent time to segue while we're to a topic I had written down from before, which is as we're talking about agent redesigns and role fits. One thing that's been on the minds of some of us who are in deep mourning and may never, in fact, recover, is the death of Chamber.
Okay. I thought you were going to be talking about yourself, but you're not.
No, I was imagining how Cass is feeling on a daily basis. Specifically, how I was thinking about this is that I think the goal for Chamber's power level, I don't know exactly what buffs need to happen to him.
Launch Chamber.
No, incorrect.
Launch Chamber, launch Jet. I'm curious who would have the higher pick rate, and I think it goes to Jet.
I agree with you that I think it goes to
I think it goes Jet.
I think launch Jet better than launch Chamber.
I mean, honestly, I think bare minimum, both of their pick rates are 80 plus. Like, I think you see almost every team comp being Jet and Chamber if you have launch Chamber and launch Jet.
Yeah, you get both of them on the team.
Yeah, you don't pick between them.
And I don't know, a lot of cases I think that you would be picking Chamber.
Yeah.
Dude, launch Jet was godly, though.
Yes, I always do love looking back at the clip where I got 3 right-click kills consecutively down C long on Haven, just spamming them, hoping for hits.
Dude, I was like...
Yeah.
I dashed into back gen on A-Side Ascent the other day, knives in hand. I'm close enough that I could reach out and slap Asher across the face. I right-click.
Doesn't kill.
Boom, 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 boom. Just like all around this, like I fucking painted like the fucking Mona Lisa around her. Like, like I didn't hit a single bullet. And I'm standing within like I'm well in shorty range. I'm in one shot from the shorty range.
Yeah, you're like, the shorty would have killed.
Yes,
yeah.
One bullet from the shorty guaranteed kills.
If one bullet kills, the knife should kill.
Yeah.
If one shorty shot is going to kill somebody, the knife should kill from that.
Yeah.
I was almost wondering if maybe what they should do is make it so that, like, one knife from your right click is always, like, to a phantom degree of accuracy coming from your crosshair. And the other 4 knives are random, but the middle one is coming from the crosshair. Because it just sucks when you do the outline, when none of them are in, like, the central circle. I don't know if that's
ridiculous, though. I mean, like, just how bad it is right now.
Yeah.
I was seeing it in pro games, too, when I was watching those last week. There were a couple of, like, really brutal right-click misses where you're like, that should have killed.
It's just like... And, like, I also have had some disgusting right-click kills, right? From, like, I panic right-click because somebody's shooting me in the side, and I just quickly flick 90 and right-click.
Yeah.
Right? And, like... they're head glitching an angle, and one of the knives hits them in the head. Right? Like, you get that sometimes. But, like, the fact that how unreliable and, like, seemingly, like, rolling the dice it is really frustrating. And I understand the idea of what they're saying is, like, they really want to promote the left click. Like, the left click of the knives, like, you know, it refreshes your knives. That's the way it was meant to be used. They want to reward you for having good accuracy, for hitting your shots. Like, I understand that concept. But, like, when I'm up close within shorty range, like, the right click should still have some viability at that range.
Yeah.
I mean, so what if you, like, removed the right click entirely, and instead you just, like, had, you know, another gun in the game that you could purchase on pistol rounds that would, like, you know, influence that, like, give you a bit more right click ability.
Like, I kind of see what you're saying, but, like, if I have my knives in pistol round, I'm probably not right-clicking anyway.
Oh, we're talking about jet knives? Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about here. I thought we were back on the classic.
Okay, so you're on Fracture.
Yeah.
You farm 4 orbs.
Can you get knives?
I get 3 kills. No, I get 2 kills. I plant the spike. Pop knives. 3 people left.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easily
I don't know if you can do it on any other map.
How many orbs does Lotus have? 3?
Oh, 3. So you can do it on Lotus. You can do it on Fracture. You can do it on maps that have 2 orbs, but, like, you would be popping knives in a 1v1, assuming you also plant spike.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's worth it. Like, you're probably better off bringing knives into round 2, win or loss.
Yeah.
On pistol. I don't know. I could see the argument for, like, hey, you're in a tense 1v1, like, this could win you pistol round, which is probably going to win you round 2.
The game.
Yeah.
Like that. I think that it's probably good to pop them in that scenario.
But also having knives round 2, if you lose there, right, and then you get knives, like having knives round 2 could like be really good.
Could swing it, but also winning pistol could swing it.
Yeah. No, okay, I get that. I'm just saying that, like, I'm curious as to, like, how bad a position the enemy team is in when, like, round 2 on your save, when you get, like, 4 kills.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm curious what the stats are to say, like, how detrimental that is. Because I know
But you still lose the round? Well, they have 2 and you have 0 at
Yes,
that point.
yes, I know,
So
but, like,
it's
it
pretty
puts
good
them,
for them.
But it puts them in an awkward economic standpoint for round 3, and,
They're
like...
bonusing anyway. They just saved they were going to lose that round, and then they full buy back to round 4. They're still up.
Yeah, but them not having, like, them full saving round 3 instead of going in with a bonus really sets off your economy. Because you're probably not dropping
you're
any of
gonna,
those
like,
rifles.
flawless or,
yeah, exactly. And so that really kickstarts your own economy after you've gotten the loss bonus from 2 rounds of losing.
Right.
And so, like, I'm just, like, I want to know what the stats say, because I know that one of the things that, like, pro commentators often talk about is, like, hey, like, especially in the bonus round, like, when you do go in with a bonus, it's like, you want 3 kills. Like, if you take 3 rifles out of the enemy team's hand, like, you're setting yourself up in a really good position.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what that is on round 2, after you lost pistol. How many guns being taken out of the enemy team's hand, like, gives you, or puts you into, like, the economic driver's seat, so to speak? Because they're forced to, like, rebuy whatever, or they just go into the bonus round with, like, so little that you're probably going to end up having 4 or 5 alive.
True, yeah, I'd be curious to see the stats on that. I'm not sure. This is all actually a cool tangent, though, from my initial idea, which is about back to Chamber and how to balance him. And this isn't any more about jet knives or economic balancing. Okay, so my thought was this. Chamber, the tuning, while I don't have a great idea of the specifics, Chamber should be tuned similarly to Reyna. Where Reyna, I think, has been at probably the best spot she's going to be in for a while now, where she is a popular pick in ranked and can be frustrating if someone's smurfing on her, but otherwise is not, an overly strong agent, just very fun and, good if you're popping off in ranked. And very occasionally a comfort pick in pro games. And, the rationale with that is that because Reyna's primary... what she's bringing to the table is primarily that she gets kills and can do that effectively and doesn't have a lot of other utility to bring to the table. You're kind of banking on your ability to get kills to have made the Reyna pick worth it. And as a result of that, if you make Reyna too strong, then all of a sudden, if you have someone just stomping in terms of kills, then that's just, not fun. So you need to make it not crazy strong. It's really dependent on skill and success.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's what they should do with Chamber. It probably means he needs a little bit of a buff based on where he is now. But a lot of people are saying things like, oh, let's give him an extra trip and increase the radiuses of them and stuff, and basically try to make him a more viable sentinel. And I'm thinking that the right approach might be to just... lean into the idea that he's a kill machine and you have to pop off on him to make him worth being on your team. Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know if I'd want to see him in the same position as Reyna, where you basically never see him in pro games, other than, rare kind of smaller teams picking them as, comfort picks, or, maybe we'll, pull one over on them by choosing this agent. It doesn't really work very well for Reyna, although, it is, you see a fuck ton of Reyna in ranked play. So I think it works in her niche, just because of, the kind of character that she is. But with Chamber, I'd be happy seeing him sometimes.
Well, yeah, you see Reyna sometimes, just not that often.
But, I want him to be, a viable pick. Eventually. Maybe not for the next year. Let us cool down.
Yeah.
But then, at some point, I'd like him to be a viable pick on some maps. Where, he is picked, 50% of the time on a couple of maps.
Yeah. I think the issue with Chamber, though, is that there's such a tipping point, right? Because of his needing to get kills, that, if you I feel like you can add a little bit of a buff here and a little bit of a buff there, and it might not move the needle that much until all of a sudden, bam, he's back to being dominant.
Yeah.
And personally, where I got to this is I was watching the games thinking, it's so much more interesting seeing teams at the pro level run KJ or Cypher than it is to see Chamber meta. Because, you get all the different utility and strategy options with Killjoy and Cypher that you don't get with Chamber. It's Chamber, go kill. And so I was thinking, let's lean into that. And I would much prefer, especially at the pro level, to see him very rarely. And he's always going to be picked more in ranked than at the pro level.
Yeah.
So that's why I was thinking that might be a good target. Especially because we discussed this actually really early on in the podcast, which is that, as Riot continues to add more and more characters, it's going to be more and more impossible to have scenarios where, all agents in a class are picked at a certain level, especially in pro play. Like, there's going to be some agents who are going to be, more in ranked or more in pro.
Right. I don't know. I think there are a couple of things that, really led to the demise of Chamber. And I think that had to do with the fact that, they just piled on all these nerfs. Left and right when they killed him.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like... And, I understand that, they tried to, go with the, taking him down a peg by, knocking something off here, knocking something off there, making this a bit worse. But, because they didn't address the elephant in the room, being his, he can op and get out.
Then he had to go with the Eminem to MGK kill shot.
Sure. I get that reference, kinda, but, only slightly.
I get the reference. Yeah.
Yeah, basically it's just, they just fucking, they hit him below the belt. Aggressively. And,
Yeah, they nerfed literally all of his abilities.
They nerfed everything all at once. Yeah. And I think that, part of the problem with that is, because there are a couple of key things that individually, each nerf that they made was not the straw that broke the camel's back, but, collectively...
Well, isn't that about... That's what the straw that broke the
guess,
camel's back
yeah,
means, but...
kind of, but I'm saying, there isn't, it's not like there's one thing that you can
None of them were individually the straw that broke the camel's back. It was
it's the collection of it. And, I think a big problem is, and I was talking on the Discord server with, fuck, I feel bad because I don't remember who I was talking with.
You're talking with one of your favorite members of the Discord.
Yes.
Yeah.
And basically, what I was saying is, I get rushed down so much more as Chamber now. And in fact, it's quite easy to rush him down. Because not only because he only has one TP anchor now, it's, number one, very obvious where you're TPing to.
Yeah.
Based on the angle that you were standing in before.
Close.
Yeah. And also... It takes him so much fucking longer to be actionable out of it.
Yeah.
If it was either or, would have been fine. If you could get away to a safer position, but it takes you a long time to act out of it, it would have been okay. Right? And it's oh, hey, he got out, but, he's not going to be able to, re-peak this angle and kill the next one of us as we're pushing up. So, at least we've gotten this space. Right? But
Cass, have you considered?
Well, hold on. Or when you TP out, if you're TPing really close, it takes you so fucking long that if they made you be actionable out of your TP sooner, it's at least I can maybe pull my headhunter out and go for that one tap, right? Or maybe I can try to run away, get around a corner. It's but because both of those things are in effect, you can do neither, and that's just really frustrating.
Have you considered Yoru teleporting away?
I would be dead.
Yeah.
You know how I complained to
That's
Chamber?
not what I was going to say, but that's great.
You know how I complained to Chamber that I'd die mid-TP?
Yeah.
Imagine if I played Yoru.
Well, I mean, if you played Yoru for any significant amount of time, you would just accept that you can't TP in combat. Yeah. You have to.
You're just dead. Yeah.
Yeah. The worst thing, though, that I still would complain about is when the coast is clear, I hit the TP, and then someone swings at the last possible second and head taps me.
Oh.
That sucks. But where I was going to go is, Cass, have you considered, you have a marshal, or maybe you have a sheriff. Actually, headhunter probably makes the most sense for what I'm about to say. Mm-hmm. You're on top of something. Take a couple shots. The enemies are rushing in. You TP away, and you're safe only for a second or so. and the enemies are like, oh boy, we got the chamber in our sights, we're moving in. If you had a nice little thing called a judge, or another shotgun in hand, you could punish that being run down.
Specifically as chamber, I often bought a shorty because I had the headhunter when I had bullets.
Yeah, but he's saying you go headhunter judge, like gentleman's buy.
Yeah, but like, okay, there's a couple problems with that. Number one, judge mucho expensivo.
Well, not more than if you had a vandal.
Yeah, but if I'm going to keep the judge in my back pocket of like, oh, maybe they're going to come here and I'm going to teleport away and then they're going to rush me down.
Well, you either do it on a not quite full buy where you can afford a judge but not a phantom, or you do it on like a buy where you have your alt. You do alt plus judge, chamber alt plus judge.
Yeah, but like, I can say like if I'm alting, I can save 1,800 credits.
You could save it, but sure, you also would want to win the round if possible. And there's plenty of times when your economy is so good, it doesn't matter if you spend some money.
Yeah, sure. Like if my economy is fucking
if you're not ulting for economic reasons, you're ulting just because I have my ult this round, like might as well pop ult and use that. 'Cause it's fucking good.
Also we're talking judge. You could buy a Bucky as well. And the thing is, you, as a chamber player, as an opper, are probably better equipped to use the Bucky than most people, because the way to use the Bucky, and what screws me up, is you have to be very careful with your shot, because it's a long in between shots, and aim center of mass, which is what you do as an opper.
Yeah. Judge, or cast a closet Buckier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was, to appease Hunter the other day, I was playing Jet, and I was using a judge, because we were...
It warmed my heart.
Yeah, really we're kind of drunk and we're just fucking running it down. And we're kind of stomping the enemy team. In a 5-stack, I believe all on mains. Like this was just like the most unbalanced game I've ever fucking seen in a 5-stack.
Yeah, like we saw the ranks afterwards, and the ranks were unbalanced as well. Like we probably had like 3 higher average rank or something like that.
Yeah. It was just not fair. Yeah, but I was running around just fucking shooting people to judge.
Yeah. You got a taste of the greatness that could be much more often for you.
He kept stealing my kills. Like I'd be judging someone up close, and he'd just be like, he'd hit them in the chest for like 26 with the classic, and steal my kill.
It's great. Judge moment. Yeah.
Okay, but speaking of like guns like the judge and whatnot.
Before we speak
like
the judge and whatnot. So when you were talking about all the chamber abilities being nerfed, I think my preliminary suggestion would be his TP was too strong before. It being a lot weaker is good. His alarm bot was really good. Fine for that to be crappy. Revert Headhunter and ult to launch chamber. And that's the buff. So chamber go kill needs to hit shots to bring that.
I think somebody had a really good idea with the ult. And I saw this on Reddit. And he was saying that like he isn't sure exactly which direction they should take it in, but it should be you should get launch fire rate when either or, be it like you hit your shot and the fire rate is what it is currently, but you miss your shot, you get launch fire rate. Or like you hit your shot, you get launch fire rate. Or if you whiff, you have to go through the really long cycle. And so I could understand it going, he was saying he could see it going either way.
I mean, I think if you hit, you don't get launch fire rate, and if you miss, you do.
Yeah. The idea being like, hey, we want him to be really good at locking down a sight line because he's a sentinel. And so it's like, well, if he whiffs his shot, he can fire again really fast and like try to make up for the fact that he just whiffed a shot. Or
my brain wouldn't work fast enough to comprehend, oh, well, I missed that shot, so I have X amount of time before the next. No.
I can tell you as a chamber player, you're fucking mashing aim down sights again, just being like, yo, why the fuck is this taking so goddamn long to cycle the fucking
and that might mess
bolt?
you up if, you have a longer time than you expect because your mind is...
No, because you know whether you hit the shot or not.
If you hit, you know you have to leave. That's the thing. He's like,
okay.
Yeah.
If you hit, you leave. Yeah. If you don't hit,
you can stay and you can take another shot.
But, like, that's still its own risk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that probably is easier to deal with.
Yeah, and, like, the idea being, like, hey, we want him to be really good at locking down this sight line, so, like, if he whiffs a shot, he should still have, like, a follow-up chance. Or I could see the other way being, like, hey, we want to reward accuracy and skill. And so, like, when you hit your shot, you get to fire your next one, like, really fast again. The idea being, like, some of the most, like, exciting chamber plays was, like, like, when Ye was on site in a 1v4, and people were just, like, pushing him from all angles, and, like, he's just rattling off the ult shots and kills 4 people in quick succession.
Yeah.
But, like, that is hype as fuck.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you don't like chamber, that's fucking sick.
It's more hype if he does it with the headhunter.
Yes, but, like...
Yeah. Make the headhunter great again.
Yeah, and, like, I think Ye is single-handedly responsible for all the headhunter nerfs.
Yeah, especially if he's blind. And he hits, like, 2 shots.
But I think Ye single-handedly killed the headhunter.
He's gotta get that crack real close to the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure it picks it up.
Was that... I don't know, did you have any other chamber thoughts?
Nope, I'm ready to move on.
Okay. So, now I wasn't on the last podcast. I've kind of been listening through it here and there. But, like, I know you guys kind of discussed the Stinger.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I wanted to talk about here is I think there will always be an optimal or, like, a meta half-buy purchase, right?
Yeah, so people will figure out what the best thing to do
at
is.
a given price point, and just based on the nature of how the economy works, it's like, hey, we can, like, this is a good price point for us to be able to invest this amount of money into, right? And there's always going to be some gun that is just what you go with because it's at a good price point and has the best bang for buck. And, like, I understand if they want to lean into, like, the more, precision kind of weapons, like the Marshal, the Sheriff, be like, hey, yeah, this is best bang for buck, but, like, you gotta hit your shots, right? Whereas, like, with, like, the Stinger or the Spectre, they're a bit more forgiving if you don't hit your first shot.
It's so much more exciting, though. I'd much rather see someone rush into sight with a Stinger than sit back and play with a Marshal.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Full agreement from me.
Yeah. I knew I wasn't going to have any arguments over there.
Yeah.
But, like, there's always going to be this is currently the best option we have, and everybody's going to lean towards it. Like, and if Riot wants to take a flavor of the month approach to it, I could kind of see that. Like, hey, like, we're going to cycle this weapon into being, good value right now. And then everybody's going to start using that on half-buy rounds or whatever that may be. But, like, there's always something that will be what you go for. And to be honest, I'm surprised we haven't seen the era of the Marshal. Because fuck, that gun is good.
Well, here's the thing, Cass. That actually kind of plays into what I was going to say, which is that the idea of there being one gun that is the eco gun, I think has a lot of factors playing into it. One of them is that depending on the gun, you can play as a team with it really well. So, for example, when the Bucky was meta, on defense, you could have multiple people holding down a choke, and then you compensate for the lack of fire rate by having multiple people shooting at once. Obviously, that was never really a viable strat for offense, just because of the nature of your engagements being different. And then with the Stinger meta, it's that with everyone rushing in with Stingers, you compensate for the lack of bullets in the mag, the low number of bullets, and the need to be at close range, because you rush someone down together. One of you might die going in, but you're all putting bullets down range, and you're getting in that damage. So I feel like that's why the Marshal hasn't really had its heyday, and why that I don't think it's totally true what you said, that there's always going to be this one gun, because there are just some guns that fill a certain niche that isn't improved by everyone having one. Like, I think having 5 Marshals on defense doesn't add value the same way that 5 Buckies
I
does.
very much disagree with that, solely because the Marshal does so much damage to the body.
Sure.
You get a couple tags, like you get a couple tags as the enemy team's entering sight, but no kills. Like, they're all fucking one-shot to the rest of your team if they've got Marshals.
If you all have Marshals, I don't know.
Just go for body shot.
It's more of a
Just hit the body.
solo gun than it is a team.
Yeah,
gun.
and it's also much more vulnerable to just being smoked off. You can be dealt with having a Marshal,
But the Marshal
and
is
then
so-
lose your range advantage.
Yeah, but the Marshal is so good at hip firing that I think that that's a lot of people don't like the scoped weapons and therefore don't purchase the Marshal. But the Marshal is so fucking good at hip firing that if you kind of just treated it like a sheriff almost and went for body shots with the Marshal, and the only time I've ever seen anybody really fall into this strategy has been on Breeze, because people are like, oh, really long sight lines, I can get max value out of the Marshal. But I don't think you need the really long sight lines. I think so long as you got a lot of people on your team with Marshals, is just I'll say this a lot, when we're playing with Alex and we're on a save, it's hey, buy a Marshal and swing this angle with me. We're both going for body shots. Don't even bother aiming for the head. We'll just both shoot the guy in the body, and he's going to die to one of us.
Yeah, but I feel like you're much more vulnerable then. You get flashed, and then you no longer have that ability to really have that peek you want, and then you end up having to peek different people because of the way you fall back.
Yeah, but
I don't think the Marshal is a bad eco weapon. Just to be clear, I'm just saying that I don't think. I see what you're saying, that if you hit two body shots is a kill always. Mm-hmm. And if you have multiple people laying in the shots together, there's some benefits to be had. But at the same time, I just feel like I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. It's just I feel like there's a very good chance you immediately lose the best range possible for the Marshal, and then at that point you would rather have a different gun. Whereas with the Bucky, either they come to you and you get the kill, or you're dead. And in neither case, we're talking about rotates, just to be clear.
Yeah, but I think rotates are a viable thing, because
yeah, and I don't think either the Bucky or the Marshal is good for retaking.
No, but I'd much rather fucking retake with a Marshal over a Bucky.
I mean, I feel like that's a bit of a personal preference thing, even though I probably agree that the Marshal is somewhat better overall. But they're both not good retake guns.
But the thing about retaking is there's a good chance that the enemy team is one shot. And I suppose that also applies to the Bucky. Your right click is now just more lethal, because hopefully someone on your team did damage to people as they were entering sight. Obviously, that's not always going to be the case.
They're both really shit retake weapons.
Yeah, they're not neither of them are optimal, but at least I'm not restricted by range with the Marshal. You can use the no scope up close. You can use the no scope at a pretty fucking good distance.
To be honest, in most cases, you'd rather have a classic than Marshal for close range.
I was gonna say,
but also if I have the Marshal, I also have the classic.
Sure, right. But my point is that the Marshal no scope is somewhat irrelevant, since you should just switch to your classic for those close range angles. Unless you're going from close to long in quick succession, at which point you can't swap weapons, then maybe you do the Marshal no scope. But this actually ties very much into what I was saying last episode, while we were recording what we should do with the Stinger while they were nerfing the Stinger.
Yeah, they came out with the nerf to the Stinger as we were recording the episode.
Yes, which of course, we didn't notice, considering that I don't check my phone constantly during the podcast. And what I said is, I just really wish they buffed a lot of the eco weapons. And Spectre and Bucky were in there. And, I think that, just to be clear, when we were talking about all Buckies versus all Marshals, at this point, because the Bucky is so weak, I would say right now, all Marshals makes more sense than all Buckies, purely because the Bucky is just so limited. But talking about when the Bucky was meta, I think the all Bucky buy makes a lot more sense than an all Marshal buy now.
But also currently, I think if you go 3-2 in either direction, being Buckies and Marshals, each of them individually makes the other one so much stronger.
Sure.
You right click somebody as they're coming onto sight. You didn't get the kill, but now your teammates that have Marshals can one-tap them in the body. Or vice versa, right? You get a tag from a distance with the Marshal, and now those Buckies are so much more lethal.
Amen. And that's exactly why I'm saying, first of all, I don't think there's always going to be just one meta weapon, as long as the eco weapons are better balanced. The reason why that doesn't happen is because the Bucky is dog shit.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. In the same way that okay, if we look at it, right, the Sheriff is a very skill expressive weapon. You gotta fucking hit those head taps for the Sheriff to be worth it. The Marshal, similar but less so, because it does so much damage to the body. but like you're saying, is more of a long range kind of gun.
Yeah.
The Bucky is kind of the opposite of the Marshall in terms of like it's pretty forgiving, but also like
Not really though.
Well, I mean, like it's forgiving in that you don't need to have your crosshair on their head.
Well, yes, but the I guess where I'm coming at as being unforgiving is that because of the range in which you're taking a fight with a Bucky, if you don't get the one kill in one shot, you're almost definitely dead.
Right.
Unlike
Okay.
a
Well,
Marshall
what I was
where
going
you
to
can
say
fall
is,
back.
but you're limited by the range.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas the thing is, like the Spectre and the Stinger don't really have that in terms of you're not like the Bucky is fucking literally worthless past a certain range. Right. Whereas the Stinger, specifically because of the right click, but even without the right click, like it's not literally fucking worthless at a distance.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the Spectre is the exact same way, right? It's not optimal long range, but it's not fucking worthless, and it's not the best possible gun to have at close range when you're like standing on top of somebody, but it's also not worthless in that scenario. And so they're just more well-rounded, like you don't know what kind of engagements you're going to be in. But I think that the problem that the Spectre has is 1,600 credits is way too fucking much to invest in a safe round or a half buy.
Well, you're saying that, but like people tend to gravitate towards the Spectre when the main dominant gun gets nerfed.
Yeah, but you're not half buying with the Spectre.
Yeah,
well,
you
yeah,
do that all the
I
time.
do that all the time. And the thing
Yeah.
is, if you look at your next credits and you have over 6K next round after buying nothing, you can buy Spectre light shields.
Okay, but like it's unlikely that everybody on your team is going to be able to force like.
No, but
Spectre light.
having like that
definitely
6K,
not everybody. Yeah, I agree with you there.
But having that 6K number is like very common.
But if
right?
you have
like,
6K next round, I can probably full buy this round. It's just that the rest of my team can't full buy.
Sure, right? That happens a lot.
No, not particularly. No, you.
I don't know, I guess I just usually buy Marshall or Sheriff on safe.
No,
so
because
really
like you could be in a
but-
round where you might be able to go like full Bulldog,
but then the
rest of
my
your
team
team can't like
right.
for like if even if your entire team could go like full Bulldog, you're probably going to half buy that round.
Yeah.
You're not forcing in unless most of your team can buy rifle, like can buy Vandal.
I think
you
the
do
threshold
Spectre
is 3 people on your team being able to full buy.
But you
is
can
what
do
I usually look at.
you can do Spectre Light in that scenario.
But like,
and most of your team could probably could do Spectre Light in that scenario, which is a very common one.
I don't think that's that common. Like I think the times in which you can buy Spectre. Okay, but then also the thing is, would you rather have Spectre Light or would you rather have Stinger full?
Well, I was sort of taking
like,
the Stinger out of it because of the Stinger, going from
Yeah,
dominant
okay.
to now
Yeah,
being
yeah,
reevaluated.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we have no idea. Like,
I would rather have Stinger full typically.
Right, but like,
Yeah, unless I'm Neon.
I don't want Spectre Light. Like, if I'm buying a Spectre, it's because I'm buying it with full shields. Because
I would go if I would say on defense I would go Spectre Light, and on offense I would go Stinger full.
No, because like also I'm Marshall, but like let's take the Marshall out of the equation here for this.
Difficult
for defense.
you to do, I know.
No, but I'm saying
Tons
like
of
for the
your-
context of defense, it's like I'm buying
yeah.
a Marshall, but I understand why other
Right,
people aren't. Also, I play Jet and Chamber, so I play an agent that's just better at marshalling. But either way, it's like the problem with the Spectre is I lose in a head-to-head against the enemy team who's full buying, just outright, right? And you could argue that like, hey, maybe I get the jump on them, and if I had full shields and like they miss a shot or two, it's like, hey, maybe I can win that gunfight. But at light shields, I don't like my odds, and if I just get the jump on them anyway, or not so much that I get the jump on them, but like I'm flanking, their back is to me. I'm probably killing them with a cheaper gun, and then I'm going to pick up whatever gun they have anyway. So I feel like the light shields with the Spectre is almost kind of wasted, because it's like, either I have full shields, and I'm saying like, hey, I don't have the best gun for this scenario, but like at least we have the same health, and I'm just kind of banking on the fact that I'm going to get some more bullets on target than you are. Or maybe I'm going to be running and gunning up close, and you only hit a couple of shots.
I see what you mean is like after you pick up their rifle that you want to like then have the full shields, and which is a better bet for like Stinger full. But buying the Spectre enables you to get more kills at a range in which it's not easily accessible to pick up that weapon.
Oh no, I wasn't
True.
even talking about having shields for after I get the kill. I'm saying if their back is to me, I should have that kill with any gun
Yeah.
that I could buy, right? Like if they have no idea that I'm there, I should have that kill with pretty much like a classic, right?
Yeah, but like,
And so
I
it's
mean,
like-
maybe not like a shotgun.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
right, yeah.
But it's like with a shorty, probably not ideal. But like the idea is like I'm wasting the credits I spent on shields there, and then maybe those light shields are good if I pick up that rifle, and we've got like a good chance of retaking, or whatever it may be. But I think the issue here is if I'm buying the Spectre, it's because I'm trying to get into, not even gunfights, but like somewhat more, I'm here, you're there, we're shooting at each other, right? Like that's kind of what you're buying the Spectre for.
I disagree. I pick a Spectre to get into gunfights where I want to swing you when I think you're not going to be ready for the fight, or I'm using utility to make you really disadvantaged. I don't want to take a somewhat fair gunfight with someone with a Phantom when I have a Spectre.
Yeah, but no, I'm like, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying like fair gunfights, but like,
Yeah.
but bullets are being exchanged generally.
Ideally
When you have a
not.
Spectre.
Ideally the person is flashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Or,
even if
I
they're
shoot them
flashed,
in
they're
the
going to be
side.
spraying at me.
Maybe.
And
maybe.
if they're
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to be taking those, advantageous to me, but still bullets are being exchanged gunfights, then why am I buying the Spectre?
I mean,
Why wouldn't I buy another gun and just fucking shoot them in the side of the head when they're not looking at me if that's how you're going to try to play the round?
on the last
Well-
podcast we were talking about how we both agreed that the Spectre needs a buff.
Yes. Yes, just to be clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like we're not saying, but like this is a separate point. We're not saying that
Right.
we like where the Spectre is right now.
Yeah, yeah, and just to be clear, the issue is that, like I was saying, the Spectre's been sort of the de facto. You see it in pro games a good bit whenever there's not a dominant eco weapon. When the Ares and the Bucky and the Stinger aren't in their heyday, you see the Spectre a good bit
It's the
on less than
fallback,
full
I guess,
buys.
yeah.
Right, but it's never had its time in the limelight. There's never been a time when it's been like,
well,
actually, maybe very early on, like First Strike kind of thing.
But I think that's just because it's comfy. But still, if I'm getting into or if my entire game plan on this eco is to get into a gunfight that is so heavily in my favor, I'm probably winning that with a Frenzy instead of the Spectre. Why buy the Spectre if you're not going to get into an engagement where bullets are being exchanged?
Well, it's sort of like an insurance policy, right? That the Spectre, you run out of bullets faster and it's
But
not
that's
suppressed.
a fucking expensive insurance
Stinger,
policy,
yeah.
is my point.
Sure, but realistically speaking, here's the thing, right? When you're calculating your credits for the round, you're calculating based on a loss, right? For your minimum next round. So, if you buy if you buy a Spectre and that insurance policy kicks in to where you get a kill with a Spectre that you wouldn't have gotten with another gun, now all of a sudden the gun is very easily paid for itself in terms of you winning the round. And then if you lose the round, you've already planned to have a full buy next round. So I don't think it's a huge deal.
No, okay.
In terms
I'm just
of
saying that,
credits.
at least I almost never in game find myself at an economic standpoint in which I can buy, because like I said, I don't like the idea of buying Spectre Light unless the enemy team has 12 and that's what I can afford.
I don't understand why
Right.
you don't like Spectre Light. I buy Spectre Light all the time.
If I'm buying Spectre, I want full,
Well, I understand what Cass
and at
is
that
saying.
point, that's so expensive.
Well, the
And
key point of what you're
Spectre
saying,
full-
right, Cass, is that, you can't one-shot anyone to the head with a Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do end up where you're both shooting, the fact that you don't have light shields could come back to bite you, considering that your Spectre doesn't have a great time to kill, especially compared to the enemy's time to kill.
Yeah.
If they have full shields on a Phantom and you have light shield on Spectre. So the full shields are very helpful to give you that additional negative time to kill for yourself.
Yeah, but if they have a Vandal, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but okay,
Right.
but if sure, if they have a Vandal and you get head tapped, the whole thing's out of the equation.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we're talking body shots here, right?
Yeah.
I need that extra bullet to live to make the Spectre be viable. I'm probably running and gunning up close, and I'm going to be taking bullets.
Well, okay.
Having that extra 25 health is massive.
Here's a situation: you're playing defense, and you're on a bit of a half buy, and
you buy a Marshall, but okay.
You buy your.
We've never heard that tonight.
Yeah, your choice is between buying a Stinger and buying a Spectre.
Okay.
Now, I play at least one agent that can flash.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of agents that can flash.
Yeah.
Or do something to make the enemy not see you. If I hear footsteps running up to me and I'm hiding in a corner with a Stinger, I am hiding in that corner, hoping they don't clear me and trying to get a spray down.
With the Stinger.
With a Stinger. With a Spectre, if I hear footsteps coming toward me, I can flash or I can peek out of that angle, and I can expect to get more damage or kills done than with a Stinger, because that is a situation in which you don't know how far away they're going to be when you peek.
Especially the second person, even if you know one person.
Yeah.
Yes. So if I'm holding B main on Fracture, on defense off of barrier drop, with a Stinger, you have to play back and hope that they push in and that I can get in a position where that Stinger goes to, can do some damage. With a Spectre, I'm opening up the possibility of being able to play for myself, flash, and peek that angle.
Without having to reload.
B main on Fracture?
Yeah.
I'm doing neither of those with either of those two guns.
No, you can absolutely do that. If you're not going to do it off barrier. But I'm saying you wait 3 seconds.
Yeah.
People could have pushed up to the boxes right there. Right? But you don't know. Maybe they're still farther back. And you can peek that.
Yeah, I'm also not doing that on B-Man on Fracture.
Yeah, I'm not doing that on B-Man on Fracture with either of those two guns. I'm doing that with a Marshal or a Sheriff.
I get your point. I get your point, though.
Yeah. You get my point is that you are able, you have the confidence to take unknown distance engagements with the Spectre, whereas the
you
Stinger,
at least have a chance.
Because you have a chance. If they're up closer, you have a better chance. But as a you have the ability to actually look into those and kind of play for yourself and be the aggressor in that scenario, whereas you kind of have to be unless you're playing as a team, a full rush out of somewhere. With a Stinger, you have to play defensive.
Because I will say, as a Stinger user myself, it is the worst feeling in the world, especially if someone's spectating you who doesn't like the Stinger and you're trying to represent its credibility. If we go back to the Stinger prior to the buff that put it into the meta, you swing out, someone's further away than you expect, and you can't dip back into cover because, they see you, they're about to start shooting you. You start spraying, they start spraying, they don't kill you right away. You dump your entire mag, and you're not dead yet, but now you have to get back to cover, switch to your classic, and you don't, and you die.
Yeah.
Which is not a problem with the Spectre.
Okay, but also,
I would get that kill with the Spectre.
But in Chase's scenario, if he's saying that you're swinging out with a flash, I swing out with the flash. If the engagement is in my favor, I take that engagement with Spectre or Stinger. If it's not in my favor, I fuck off.
No, but you're dead.
Right, they see you swing the angle.
A Spectre, you get one. A Stinger, you get none if they're at mid-range.
I feel like I'm more likely to get one with the Stinger than I am with the Spectre.
Absolutely
I'm more likely,
unless they're within 15 meters of you.
I feel like I'm more likely to go one and done. My whole argument against the Stinger pre it coming into the limelight here was that it was such a one and done gun. That was my whole argument against why I hated it and why I like the Spectre a lot more.
Yeah.
Is because the Spectre is less of a one and done. But in an eco, me going 1 for 1 is fine. Is it optimal?
No, but I'm saying that with the Stinger, you're going none for 1.
No. I feel...
Yes. In the situation that I'm laying out, you are not getting that kill.
Yeah, which is one of the things I appreciated
also,
when I lost the bet and had to not buy Stinger, which is that on defense, the Spectre oftentimes really shows that potential.
Yeah.
On offense, when you can get in close on one person because you have an idea that the defense is roughly evenly distributed across the sites, so you're not going to run into 4 enemy players when you're on an eco when you go in. That's an exaggeration. You're most likely going to run into 1 or 2. You can hopefully isolate one gunfight up close, and the Stinger is better. But on defense, sometimes, if you're being swarmed from multiple sides when you're holding a site, you don't necessarily want to play until, you can get the perfect flash or get a great kill. You might want to do exactly what we're talking about, which is take a somewhat unfair gunfight, hoping you can unfair to you gunfight, hoping that you can catch the other person off guard. even though you have the worst
Even
weapon.
if you don't even have a flash, and you're just hoping to swing at a time that they're not expecting,
Right.
right? With a Stinger, unless they are on you, you're not getting that, which is like the thing where you don't know the distance that they're going to be at, and the Spectre gives you the ability or the flexibility to be able to play into that situation.
Yeah, but it's too expensive.
Well, but my whole point is, if you can find it in the budget to do it, then you might as well do it.
But it's not that expensive if you're taking light shields, is what the entire thing that we're saying here.
Yeah,
Right.
but like, it's...
You just never agree with buying light shields ever.
No, I buy light shields on pistol, a fair amount.
This
Okay,
isn't
I'm
pistol.
talking
We're talking about you buying a
You're
Spectre
buying
on
a
pistol.
Spectre or a
Pass.
Stinger, yeah. You're either no shields.
Attention, Riot, if you're watching, please
No,
ban
no.
Cass's
I'll
account.
often
He's
buy
hacked away
martial
to
light.
buy Spectres on pistol rounds.
I'll often buy martial light or sheriff light.
It's got a vac ban
What's
in
the
here.
difference?
Huh?
What's the difference if someone's spraying you down?
Well, I
None.
have 125 instead of
Yeah,
100.
there's
I don't
there's
die.
no difference. There's no difference.
I don't die to the martial round 2. When the enemy team also buys a martial, I don't die round 2.
Well, great.
To a martial body shot.
That's great. That's what light shields are for.
Yeah. The enemy team is a full fucking buy if I'm buying a Spectre. Like, it's too expensive. And you're also not considering the third alternative here, which is you buy nothing, and you go into the next round with fucking all.
Well,
Yes, of course. Everyone on the team should do that. Whatever
Five
they-
options is a perfect strategy on offense.
Hey,
Yeah.
Fnatic did it in CS, and it worked out great.
There you go.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
because
that wasn't the OP, that was the AWP.
yeah,
so.
because the AWP
Yeah.
works exactly like the OP. Yeah.
Well, I will say, I feel like this discussion is getting a little pointless because we all agree that the Spectre is not in a great state now.
Yeah.
So to make this meaningful, we'd have to have a Spectre buff.
Yeah, like that thing's got to cost like $13.50.
Ooh, I think that's too far.
I would be down to bump that down and then bump the Bulldog down in price a bit so that there's less of a gap.
Yeah. Like, okay,
That's
I
what
think
I was
that, and that's the other thing is, like, I think that both the Bulldog and the Guardian are at, like, really bad price points. Because it is very circumstantial that, like, the rest of your team is buying up and you can buy, you could get Bulldog full shields, and that's what you want to go with, which, like, oftentimes I'll instead go, like, Rifle Light, which there
Completely negates your previous argument at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm just wanted to bring that
but,
up.
Like, because the thing with the rifle is at least I can get that one tap. I'm not buying Phantom Light, I'm buying Vandal Light. It's like, at least I can fucking head tap you before you can spray me down. Like, with the Spectre, you can't fucking head tap one shot head tap someone before they spray you down.
No.
And I think that's a huge consideration because I don't buy Phantom Light.
You didn't add that hack to your game when you added the ability to buy a Spectre on pistol round?
No. I have to make my hacks a bit more subtle, you know?
Yeah, so it's
Understandable.
Spectre and pistol round stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I can't have people see me one tapping them with this Phantom across the map, you know?
Yeah.
That's just like, that's way too obvious.
With a Phantom?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's upping the damage of the Phantom.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not buying Phantom Light. I'm buying Vandal Light. And I'm banking on the fact that, like, hey, I can afford these light shields given the fact that the rest of my team has full buys. And, like, because I'm on light shields, I want to be able to one-tap somebody. And therefore, I'm buying Vandal. But
You're just not good enough with the Bulldog. Dude, Bulldog Light, I fucking go ham.
dude, goddamn, like, I used to be okay.
Or Bulldog Full, yeah.
I used to be okay with the Bulldog before that came into the meta. And now I suck dicks with the Bulldog. But
I love the Bulldog.
I used to be
burst.
okay with the Ares until it got buffed and then nerfed to worse than it was before.
okay, but like what I was trying to get back to here is there's definitely the time and the place in which I should be buying Full Shields Bulldog or Full Shields Guardian. And instead I don't, and I buy Vandal Light. And the reason that I think that I should be buying the Full Shield sometimes is, like, if I'm not first contact or I'm not entry, there's a good chance that, like, as the round progresses, I can upgrade my Bulldog to a full rifle, and, well, then I'd have full shields, instead of me still being stuck on my half shields, but I have the Vandal in my hand to begin with. And now a good amount of that depends on, well, what angles am I peeking off barrier drop? Or am I peeking an angle off barrier drop? And if that's the case, do I want the Vandal to try to get that head tap? And other things like that. But, like, I think there's definitely a place currently in the game for the Bulldog and the Vandal. Or, sorry, for the Bulldog and the Guardian. But I think that those circumstances are a bit too isolated at this moment. Or they're too circumstantial.
Since I like the Bulldog so much, I buy it a lot. Especially, like, in saves. Or, not, I guess not saves, but in rounds where my team is forcing and I can't full buy. I'm buying, like, Bulldog Light or Bulldog Full. And I just really like the burst fire. So I think the Bulldog's in a good position, but also I don't like the Guardian. So maybe the Guardian can be in a similar position. I would, if I were to have enough to buy, like, full Guardian, I would still go full Bulldog. So I don't know if I can really comment on that, since I don't, like, I would never actually choose to
I guess
go
one
Guardian.
of the other things that I didn't really talk about in our previous discussion with all those eco weapons is, like, I do play agents that get weapons for alts. Get weapons with their alt, right? And so, like, I can often play around that instead. And then, also, because of that, my econ is slightly different from everybody else on the team. Because every X number of rounds, I don't have to buy a primary weapon.
We're just getting to this now.
Right, well, it's like, I wasn't really considering that before, but obviously that changes my econ up compared to the rest of the team.
I would say so.
Significantly, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, specifically as Chamber, because you can buy Headhunter bullets, that obviously affects things. And then, I guess, like, the final consideration here is also because I do op, I will sometimes have different thresholds for how much money I want to have. And then also
every next round.
Every agent
Which
has
might
a different...
make you think, oh, I need to save more money.
Right, every agent has a different threshold for how much money they want to have next round, right? Like, for Chamber, it's 4,050 credits. I want Trap, I want Rifle, I want Full Shields, right? For Jet, it depends on how much utility I've pre-bought. It's like, I want one Smoke and I want one Updraft at least. Like, depending on exactly where my credit threshold is, I'm willing to sacrifice one of those, probably the Updraft. But, like, you know, if you're playing Brim, it's like, well, if we're going into a full buy, I'm gonna need 3 smokes here, or whatever, right? I'm gonna want those 3 smokes. I'm gonna want the molly.
I often forego full shields if I get full utility instead.
Right, and so obviously every agent has like a slightly different amount of money that they're looking to have next round, and like on Chamber that number is less than it is for me on Jet, for example.
Yeah.
And so I guess that also like affects the exact price thresholds of those other guns, but going back to like the Guardian and the Bulldog here is. I think that they still need a little bit of extra oomph in some regard because I feel like they're just not like I want to see them more often, if that makes sense. Because I feel like I'm not the only one that's buying Vandal Light Shields when I can't afford Vandal Full.
Yeah,
I feel like
people definitely go Vandal Light, but that might be a comfort pick because they like shooting the Vandal. They know like that's what they do the most.
Yeah, but I feel like if you put the Bulldog or the Guardian in a slightly better position, and lately I've been looking slightly more favorable on the Guardian.
I mean, the Guardian's just such a great gun.
It's a good gun.
Yeah.
I don't like using it personally, but like I feel like I want to learn how to use the Guardian. It's not like I think the Guardian needs to be buffed for me to use it. It's I currently don't use it because I feel like I won't get the max value out of it.
Right.
But like it can get that value really well.
Because like if you're good with the Guardian, there are legitimately cases where you're better off with buying a Guardian than a Vandal.
Oh yeah,
and the
probably.
Phantom is just a whole step down because you can't one tap. Depending, that's more often on defense. But yeah, like I think the Guardian. I think the thing about both of the guns. That was not a satisfying crack.
That was not a satisfying crack.
No, you just
leaked
leaked beer all over our coffee table books. So, thanks for that.
There you go. You video watchers, you get to see this happening live. Who the better beer cracker is.
Yeah, that was a very unsatisfying beer crack. I'm not sure
I was
why.
listening to it in the mic, and I was like, ugh. I have to edit this out.
Motherfucker, dude.
We're going downhill fast.
Yeah, gas is wasted. I don't know.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is that by nature of some of the stuff we've discussed earlier, that if you're going to save, a lot of cases you won't have nearly enough money for a Bulldog or Guardian. And then if you've saved correctly, in a lot of cases you have enough money for a Vandal or Phantom. Which means that unless you're a Guardian or Bulldog fan, you use those guns so much less than either an Eco gun or a full buy gun. And because they're like a Eco Plus gun. And so as a result, that means it's harder to want to use them when you have the option. Because you don't, unless you go into DMs, unless you go into the range and practice with them, you just get so much less practice with them in games. So I feel like that's something that I don't know how you address necessarily, but
I don't think it necessarily needs to be addressed. We're not looking for complete equity across the board between all of the weapons, purchase rate wise, right? Like I think that they fulfill a niche in the game, and right now they're in a good spot. I don't think that they need to be changed at all.
I would say that the Bulldog could be cheaper, especially if the Spectre was. Just kind of pull down the scale a little bit. And the Guardian, I think the Bulldog could be 300 credits cheaper. Like if you look at the piece of one piece of utility kind of thing, and the Guardian could be maybe like 100 credits cheaper.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'm considering with the Bulldog being 300 credits cheaper is like just certain price point thresholds. Like how often would you be able to buy that?
Is the Bulldog
Yeah.
1850? Is it 1850 now? What is
It's
the
like
Bulldog?
2150.
Oh, it
And then
is.
Guardian's like 24, if I remember correctly.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah.
So I think if you made the Bulldog $300 cheaper, like
You'd
that
start buying that more like when you would buy a Spectre now.
Yeah.
Which would, like, it might still be a little bit more expensive, but still, like, that's...
No, but I feel like you would buy the Bulldog and you would sacrifice the fact that, or like, you'd be banking on the fact that, hey, I'm getting a kill here and that's going to allow me to buy Rifle full next round, or if I don't get the kill, I'm going to buy Vandal Light.
Yeah.
Going into next round. Right? Which is, like, that's something that I will actually often look at when I'm deciding, hey, am I going to force with, like, a sheriff or a marshal?
Yeah.
Is, like, I'm looking at this as, like, hey, like, well, this brings me down to, like, 3,800 credits. But if I get a kill...
That bumps you over
But that bumps me over what I need
yeah.
so that I can full buy next round. And so, like, I'm kind of viewing, like, hey, how do I feel about my likelihood of getting a kill in this round? Right? It's like, do I feel that, like, hey, I can get one and be in a good position and then we'll be chilling? Or am I in an awkward position and it's not, like, I'm just not going to get, or I feel like I'm unlikely to be able to get a kill, and therefore it's like, well, maybe I'm better off just saving and having some extra money next round, which, like...
Yeah, I will say that's one thing that you've, hearing you talk about that has encouraged me to do that more. I didn't used to do that at all. But thinking about that, especially as a justification to, buy a Stinger.
I mean, I really don't do that because I never have the confidence in myself to get the kill that round. So
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, it often backfires.
yeah,
I'm often like, hey, dude, like, I'm getting one with this Marshal.
I'd rather buy with
and then
my
I don't.
team.
And then
I hate
I,
being the guy who's like, oh, I should really buy with my team here, and then not being able to next round. Like when we're like, hey, let's half buy, and then I end up having to go light shields the next round. I'm like, shit, I fucked up.
Yeah, right. My issue is that a lot of times when I play a duelist, especially on attack, I might use one piece of utility and then get one kill, and that cancels out, so that I end up, if I budgeted 3,900 for the next round, I'm good
So you
to
have
go.
to rebuy that utility.
Well, yes, but if I budgeted
Yeah.
3,900 and I get the kill, I rebuy the utility.
Yeah.
So often I just think like 3,900 is the price point, but then I play someone else who gets less kills and uses more utility, and then I end up in that situation. I'm like, oh shoot, I should have accounted for that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
As Brim, I usually want to buy my Molly most rounds,
Yeah,
but like I still think of it as like 4,000 is what I'm looking for, and that minimum gets me a extra smoke. Like it gets me 2 smokes then.
yeah,
And if I can't buy my Molly, then whatever. But I want more than 1 smoke. If I'm gonna have 1 smoke, Vandal full, I buy light and I go with like, what is that? That's not even full utility, but I'll fuck the stim beacon.
Yeah, fuck the stim beacon.
I will say I buy Stim Beacon over Molly as Brim. If I
Oh,
have the
yeah?
choice.
No,
yeah.
I-
because
I-
I lean heavily into fast firing weapons as Brim. It's I only ever buy, not including pistols, obviously, Spectre, Phantom, Odin as Brim. So all of those benefit hugely from the stim, and so I will buy that over those.
My mollies often do over 200 damage in a round. So I feel like I am wasting potential damage, especially like on defense. This is because when people are doing fast sight hits, putting your molly in your smoke at the choke entry.
Yeah, I will sometimes do molly over stim on defense.
So good.
Yeah,
because as soon as people start pushing that smoke, if they've wasted utility to flash out, they're going to continue pushing that smoke, and then the rest of the team's like, well, fuck, one person's on site, we gotta follow, and they all get 50 damage from the molly, and then you've just done a ton of chip damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brim is probably the agent that you most often at the end of the round see that you damage literally everyone on the enemy team.
Yeah.
To some extent. Because you have that, and then you have the ult as well.
Yeah.
Which, both of them have a very high chance of affecting large numbers of people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you said that, I realize sometimes I do go molly instead of stim on defense.
I do sometimes, I'm like, I wish I had my stim here, but I would always buy the molly before the stim.
Yeah, it is rough, though, spectating you as Brim and seeing all the times I would use the stim that you don't.
Yeah.
Like, for me, if I'm not with the team, if we've split up from the initial time on offense and, we defaulted to start or something, anytime I'm like, I'm about to take a gunfight, stim's going out. Whereas I'm watching you, I'm like, oh, here comes the stim. No, it's still in his pocket.
Yeah, it takes me an extra second to pull out the stim, which sometimes I don't want. And then also I use the stim more for movement than I do for
That's fair.
For the increased fire rate. And so I use the stim on rotates, or if I'm trying to get out of somewhere very quickly.
I wish the stim was only a movement buff.
I was going to say the exact opposite, which is that I use the stim before it added movement speed, so that's why my head is different with it.
Exactly, yeah. I never use the stim before that because, I do like the increased fire rate, and I will use it, very sparingly in those situations. But usually it's for I need to move faster, or I want my team to move faster right now.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we've said when I've been here that we probably won't get to is I need to give Chase some intensive Odin training because he needs to learn to harness the power of Odin plus stim.
Oh my god! Yeah. But you talking about not being able to buy with the team next round?
Yeah,
reminds me of probably the favorite thing I've ever clipped in Valorant, which is the clip starts with Chase saying "Hey everybody, save, buy for next round." Me hitting tab, looking at my credit threshold and being like, nah. And then Reyna, also on our team, also having Spectre full, being like, 50 credits left over, nah. And then a right-off barrier drop, we combined for 4 kills.
Yeah.
And the round is just it's
you win the round,
yeah. And I just love that clip because I was like, I know Chase would have fucking roasted me next round, but I couldn't buy with the team if this didn't work out in our favor.
Yeah, very lucky that it worked out for you.
And then you have me who typically doesn't do that, but sometimes just forgets what round it is and forgets it's supposed to be a bonus round, and the next round Chase is like, what the heck? And I'm like, yeah, fair. I just didn't think about it.
The times when I am not able to buy with the team are times when I forget, because I have enough money to buy full, and I kind of just muscle memory, just go do my full buy.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is on a significant save, and so nobody's save. They're all just kind of oh, well, we have to save here, so everybody's saving. And then the next round, when everyone's full buy, I'm like, well, shit.
That reminds me, Chase, that especially when I'm solo queuing, I'm not really an IGL, but I am an econ IGL.
Yeah.
I will almost always call out if there's any confusion at all.
I
you guys go to the full buying here, you guys go to the saving.
And people never pay attention. People sometimes. But sometimes 3 people will buy up and I'll be like, yo, this is a save. Let's save here, buy for next. And then 2 of them will sell and one of them still.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but if 3 can
one
buy...
of them requests next round.
This isn't a buy. This is they're buying Spectre full.
Yeah. Oh, people are...
to lose all of their credits. When we're no, this should be a full save.
Oh yeah.
But also you just talking about killing everybody or doing damage to everybody with your molly as they push through site because somebody's out on site and they're like, oh shit, I guess we need to go in.
That's you?
No, that just that reminds me of this game that I was playing with Tony the other day in which the neon on our team was fucking roasting me for having an awful scoreline. To which, in their defense, I did have an awful scoreline and I was not having a good game. But like, there'd be so many times when it's just like, I'm like, all right, guys, like, here, let's like where we're all sitting B main on ascent, like let's go. I'm gonna smoke and dash out. And it's not like there's a smoke or a molly blocking people from pushing out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm on site, I peek out of my smoke, there are 3 fucking people gunning me down. And there was a, I don't know, maybe the Astra was just having a good game. I can't say that they were smurfing for sure. But like, this Astra was a fucking demon with an Odin. And they were winning, so they had money that she always had an Odin and was just fucking gunning us. Like, she got like 3 to 4 kills a fucking round. Just like gunning everybody down with an Odin. And it was just a point where it's just like, motherfuckers, I have sight. I am on site by myself. Why are 4 of you still fucking stuck in garage? Like,
Cass was telling me that story, and I was like, I relate more than he could ever know as a Yoru and Neon main. That is always me.
Yeah, and then like the Astra was on the other side of the map and had a good scoreline, or not the Astra, the Neon was on the other side of the map and had a good scoreline because they were baiting everybody and getting kills. Yeah. But like, they're just fucking, whereas you're like, oh guys, it's easy, just you have to click heads. And I'm like, motherfucker, there are 3 of them staring at me. Where the fuck are you? But yeah, no, it's just like, I wish my team was willing to take that 200 collective damage as a team to push through that fucking Brim Molly and help me out. Like,
yeah, amen to that.
But yeah, I was also like 2-17.
That's tough.
It wasn't that bad.
That's a bad.
I was like 2-11 maybe. Like,
yeah.
And one of those kills, or no, I think my first 2 kills in the game were with shorties.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I was not having a good game. But like still, it's like fucking give me some goddamn backup on site and maybe I'd have a couple more kills. And the other thing is like when I have a bad scoreline, even if somebody on my team can buy me, like they could afford to, but then they wouldn't be able to buy next round, it's like I feel guilty asking like, hey, like can I get a buy here?
Yeah.
Unless it's like, you know, like I'd ask Tony, because Tony was in the game with me. I'd ask Tony for a buy. Right, but like...
That's a serious shade right there.
Yeah.
No.
Tony doesn't need to buy a gun himself.
No. It's more just like...
Even if I'm 2-17, I'm better than him, alright?
That wasn't the point. It's like, I'd ask Tony, I'd ask you guys if I'm having a bad game.
Okay.
But I'm not going to ask some, like, randos if I'm having a bad game. I'm not going to be like, hey, like, can you buy me a rifle?
I will still, and then sometimes they ghost you.
Uh-huh.
They just go no, or they just don't buy you and say nothing, and I'm like... Okay, fair, but like, come on, like that doesn't mean I'm not gonna get 4 kills this round. Like,
all right, yeah.
Like I ended the game middle of the pack on our team because I picked it up towards the end.
Yeah,
but it's like at the start when we were on attack, it's like when I got a bad scoreline, like I feel so guilty asking someone to buy me.
Which is why I also try to buy anybody that like if I have the money to buy. I'm buying them.
Oh, for sure.
Regardless of if they're bottom frag. And like because it's better to have that rifle on our team than not.
Unless they're a bottom frag who I really hate.
Unless
they're doing some dumb shit and I'm just like...
If they're doing some dumb shit...
Yeah. If you want an op on attack, no.
Well, I'm even saying if they're playing weirdly.
Oh, Tony does that all the time. Tony will be like, hey, will you buy me? And I like hit the like, oh yeah, sure, like whatever button. And then, I bought him an op. I'm like, what the fuck? You didn't say buy me an op. Like, I would have not bought you an op. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah, the options are decline or whatever you said. I was going to quote it.
Yeah.
It's not buy. It's what
Ghost
or whatever.
Ghost, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I have such a hard time bringing myself to ask, like, random people in our lobbies to buy me when I'm not having a good game.
Okay, I want to go through this just because I never have a topic to talk about, and
sure,
we can make it kind of short.
We got time.
It's another, slightly visual thing, just because there is a visual for us that nobody else can see.
Perfect.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah. The one time we have audio. Oh, actually, wait. I'm the editor. I could put it in.
Yeah, you could put it in. Yeah, if this video ever sees the light of day.
Yeah, hopefully it will, as long as your computer doesn't die in the next couple minutes.
Yeah.
Which happens when you're recording something.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is just, I too can go through the Reddit, as Hunter said a couple of weeks ago. Crazy, the wealth of topic ideas that the Valorant subreddit gives you.
Yes.
Anyway, somebody posted a chart of agent pick rates through ranks. and it lists them, like, 1 through 20, of which agents are the most popular picked at each rank in the game.
Can you zoom in the text, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I can try. I have no idea how to do that.
Control plus.
Wait. No, dude. He's got a... whoa. I'm surprised you know where the plus key is on your keyboard.
There's a plus. I mean, just because it's a 60% doesn't mean it doesn't have a plus key.
Yeah.
There's so many times I'm trying to do keyboard shortcuts on Chase's keyboard, and I'm like,
Yeah.
where's the delete key? Or like,
Do you not have a delete key?
I have a backspace key.
Bruh, how do you type? The delete key is so nice to be able to go the other way when you're in a
Oh no,
text.
forget about that. Like, they're just like, how do you control delete?
Yeah. How do you control alt delete?
I'm sure there's
Control shift escape also works if you're just trying to get
No,
to
like
the
what do
task
you
manager.
do? Like I'm not saying hypothetically. What do you do when you need to pull up Task Manager?
Control shift escape.
Is that what you do?
I've never needed to do that. I don't know what you're talking about. I
What?
exit the game, search Task Manager in the bar, and pull it up.
Like you've never had your computer lock up to where you couldn't do anything and you just turn the power off?
Wait, Control Alt Delete pulls up Task Manager?
It
I
pulls
thought
up this
shut
window.
Pulls
down.
up a menu.
That you can do different
That you can
things,
do different
including
things. One of
Task
the
Manager.
I thought it
options.
just shut the fucking computer down.
No.
No.
If you're looking for which you have Control Shift.
I can't believe you don't know Control Alt Delete. though.
If you just want fucking,
Yeah.
You guys know
fucking
that
Mac user,
I've,
dude.
I've had a Windows for about 2 years.
So you know what Command Option Escape does then?
No.
Okay, well that does that. Then
Yeah, okay, now you're just in the wrong.
Right, you're just in the wrong.
But
Yeah.
if you're trying to pull up Task Manager, Control Shift Escape.
So Command Option Escape is the Mac version?
Yes.
Yes, of Control Delete.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I could do that, but it's just, it's there on the keyboard. I don't have a 60% keyboard on my laptop. So,
Wait, did you have a Mac laptop though?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Command Option Escape exists on the Mac keyboard.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's
Oh,
obviously
okay.
a Mac shortcut.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that is a huge diversion from what we were trying to, enlarge.
I don't know if that was really a diversion and just more of like a chase. What the fuck?
I really can't believe you don't know that.
I'm saying that I don't know Windows things, and it's very rare that I need to my computer freezes. I need to shut it down.
Yeah, but it's not like it freezing. It's just like Task Manager is like.
Well,
It's
it's just
just like
the
a
weird
useful
thing is
thing.
that you were saying, you have a problem with the game, you shut the game down, and then you pull up Task Manager, or you
shut it down. I
you alt tab.
like Alt Tab or Windows.
There are
tab.
plenty of times for me I've had issues where the game is frozen and I can't alt tab or press Windows. I have to use Control Alt Delete to then close the game.
I've never had that issue. I guess.
I can't believe you've never had that issue. Wow. Okay.
Well, so do you not try to like launch Valorant sometimes and it's just like running, but like it's not actually running on your
Yeah, so I
computer?
search Task Manager and I pull up.
Oh
Task
my
Manager.
Yeah, but
God.
like, that's the thing that I
Oh
can't
my
fucking
God.
believe is that you just don't know the keyboard shortcut to get to Task
Yeah, like I feel
Manager.
like if you know any keyboard shortcut, you would know Control Alt Delete. Like, do you know what alt tabbing is?
Yeah. Well,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have an Alt key on your keyboard?
yeah, there's an Alt key.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting very into the weeds here. So, as you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, as I was
Join the
saying.
Discord to roast Chase about him not knowing how to use a PC. Yeah.
Hey, just be happy I have a PC.
Hey, yeah. You know what? Yeah.
That's not a given. Okay, but I think it's really interesting looking at this chart to see what agents kind of stay stagnant throughout the ranks of being like, this is a very popular picked agent, and then at which there's a lot of really cool patterns of some that really drastically increase in pick rate and some that drastically decrease in pick rate.
Like Astra?
Yeah, so Astra's the easiest one to spot on this, where Astra is in the last place for Iron and Bronze, literally place 20 for pick rate, and then quickly shoots up to place 11 for Radiant.
Dude, ouch
Yeah.
on the Harbor.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Harbor fucking...
I feel like Riot's going to
Ouch.
seriously buff Harbor, considering that he's last in pick rate for both pro and ranked, which I don't know if that's ever happened before for an agent. That is brutal.
Yeah, I mean...
Yoru.
I'm pretty sure Yoru pretty quickly got a decent player base in ranked, even though not in pro, obviously.
So Harbor is second to last for Iron and Bronze, and then every other rank is last.
Crazy.
That's pretty rough. Yoru is high. It's number 11 in Iron.
Yeah, but that's just because he's cool.
Yeah, so number 11 in Iron, and then drops to 18 and 19 for the rest of the ranks.
Yes, indeed.
which is a little rough for anybody who likes playing Yoru. I'll consistently at the top, you have Reyna. Reyna is probably the most consistently high-ranked person here.
Yeah.
Is the highest picked for Bronze 3 to Plat 3, which I had a theory about that one.
Being Smurfs?
Smurfs.
I also have that similar theory for Sage being number 1 in Iron, which is that you have a lot of his Sage or her Sages.
Oh no, but also in Iron, people aren't hitting a lot of headshots. Your Sage heal gets a lot more value the lower rank you're in.
Yeah, I don't think people are necessarily calculating the value of a heal in Iron, though, is the thing.
I guess these are pick rates, not win rates.
Yeah, these are pick rates.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking. It's the his Sage, her Sage helping boost friends.
Maybe I could see that, but also just like.
But why would they still be in Iron then?
No, but
Because
like
it is the Smurf who's in Iron. This is a Smurf who's boosting their buddy, and that's
it's
why
hard to
they're
Smurf to Iron.
yeah, but
Yeah,
also we're
that's
talking
fair.
about pick rates here.
exactly right.
Yeah, so like sure, you're more likely to pick a certain agent if you're smurfing, but like if you're smurfing, they're probably not picking the Sage.
Dude, did you not listen to what I'm saying? You're
Like,
picking the Sage.
I understand. That
to
his Sage
help
or
out,
Sage.
to heal up your buddy.
Yeah. But like also, if I'm trying to boost my buddy, I'm not fucking picking Sage. I'm picking fucking.
It's a couples
I think
thing.
Sage
Are you not
is
familiar with
Challenger.
Valorant couples? It's not about the frags
I think
or about
Sage
the
is
boosting.
like-
It's about the love shared between the two
Also,
people.
Sage is the best fucking agent in the game in ranked.
Sage is
And what were you up?
decently easy to play.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
Sage is decently easy to play. Understand how her
Guaranteed.
kit works.
Yeah.
You get guaranteed value. This is probably why she's so good at lower ranks. Like number 1 in Iron, 2 in Bronze, Silver, Gold, and then drops off a bit from there. But never like even in Immortal Radiant goes down to 8th. Yeah, so like Sage is pretty good all around, but like definitely sees a steep fall off once you pass Diamond.
I can't believe that an Iron Killjoy is played more than Jet.
That is kind of really
Like
surprising.
what
That is
the
pretty
fuck?
wild.
Because like okay, here's the thing, right? Jet's just the most fun agent in the game, and I know that some people are going to disagree with me.
I would disagree with you.
To which the only thing I can say is you're wrong.
See, Jet has I think a higher skill floor, which is why.
Oh, for sure. No, Jet does absolutely have a higher skill.
Which
for
is why you see Jet increase up to number 1 Diamond through Radiant.
yeah, but even when you're bad at Jet is still fun.
I would argue that there's a lot of things, like if you go back to launch Jet, I would agree. But the issue is there are so many things that now are frustrating about Jet. Like when your dash expires and you don't get to use it meaningfully. Or, when you right-click with your knives and miss and you're not hitting your left clicks all that well in Iron.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more things that take away from Jet's fun if you're mechanically not very skilled or lacking in game sense. Like you have to have a certain amount of game sense for Jet to
No,
be
Yeah,
good.
like
I can see
what's
that.
fun is getting kills. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if you're not able to get kills because you don't have like the basic skills yet to play Jet, then it is probably more fun to play a Killjoy because especially at like a rank like Iron, you're probably going to get so much more value out of your mollies and alarm bot.
I mean, the amount of detains you're going to get at
The
Iron.
detained, yeah. Like
Also,
with
your turret's fucking god tier in Iron.
turret's going to be pretty good. I mean, Iron's like kind of all mixed around, so it's a very interesting thing to look at. I think Cypher's also a crazy one to look at. When you look at starting at 16th in Iron and then quickly going up to like being 7th in Immortal Radiant. Like huge increase.
Okay, this is something that like I don't think has really been touched on that much, or like you can't really see in this graph. But like something that's really been affecting pro play lately is I think the Killjoy resurgence has artificially pushed Fade out of the meta.
Huh?
Because to counter Killjoy, you want a Sova.
Just the shock dart stuff?
Shock Dart, Hunter's Fury. Yeah, mostly that. Like it's like a bunch of teams want the Hunter's Fury to be able to counter the lockdown.
What
Just
color
because
is
of
Fade
how
on here?
good.
Yeah,
The
I'm
tan.
I'm not sure
Fade
how
is
many
kind
people
of
pick a Sova to
consistently-
counter Killjoy lockdown.
Consistently, what, 7 to 10 on here?
I don't know. I see it a lot when I've been watching these like the tier 2 Challenger series.
Yeah. I mean, you see it happen. My question
No,
is just, do you
not
pick that?
not whether it happens, but like you often see teams holding on to a Sova ult instead of using it because the enemy team has their Killjoy lockdown.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Or there's often like a race to like try to get the Killjoy lockdown before the enemy team gets their Sova ult. Or in scenarios where like you'll it's like you'll see Killjoys not ulting in a scenario in which like you would usually think to ult in because the enemy Sova has their ult. And like there's this kind of like there's this pseudo game of like chicken in terms of like, hey, are you going to use your ult first so that I can get more value out of mine? And it's like you get passive value out of just having the Sova ult in your pocket the exact same way that you kind of get passive value out of having the Killjoy ult in your pocket because the enemy Sova/Killjoy doesn't want to burn their ult to make yours that much stronger.
Yeah, so what you're saying is to get the most passive value, you should just get your ult and never use it as Killjoy and Sova.
Well, no, because once
It's like, haha, I got its passive value.
Sure, but like there's obviously the active value is more beneficial, right? But like, yeah, you often see it as like, well, shit. It's like this is a really good, or like, I kind of need to use my Sova ult here, right? And then so it's like you fire it off.
The usefulness of Sova ult by saying that its best capability is deleting.
I'm not
KJ.
saying its best capability is deleting Killjoy ult.
Well, here's the thing, Cass. You're making a 3-step process.
Yeah.
You're saying step number 1 is Sova ult is useful for countering KJ ult. Obviously true. Step number 2 is you see in pro play pros holding on to Sova ult in case there's a KJ ult. Also, I would totally agree. And then the third step you're making is the pros picked Sova to use his ult to counter KJ, and that's why they picked him over Fade, and that's why I'm not sure if I agree. Like, that third step I'm not making with you.
Like Fade's pick rate has dramatically dropped.
But there's another...
Since Chambers left the meta.
Well, yes, but there's another thing as well that that you've been talking about, which is that the Fade Raze combo is really good, and with more teams going back to a Jet instead of a Raze... with Chamber not being in the meta as much, that is also having a big impact because Fade Raze is a good...
Yeah.
Which you've said before. Mm-hmm. Also, I do think it's very interesting that the only agent that this chart would say is top 5 in every rank, and that the pros also value very highly, is the agent which Cass bizarrely believes is overrated, which is Raze.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, what about Reyna? Reyna's top 5 at every
Yeah,
rank.
but the pros don't agree she's top 5. I added pros as the final qualifier.
Yeah, that was the final qualifier that took Reyna out of there. But yeah, Raze is very consistently 3-4.
But for some reason, Cass believes he knows better than the pros in every rank of Valorant that Raze is overrated.
No.
Yeah.
Raze gets a lot of value.
Yeah, but like, she's fucking boring. You know what's not cool?
Chamber.
Well, also, yes, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that statement. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Also, where's Chamber on this list?
He's down at 16, 17 in every rank.
I see.
But yeah, no, Raze is just like I'm gonna walk in with my ult, or I'm gonna blast back in with my ult and get a kill. Whoop-de-doo. I fucking fired a rocket.
You're flying through the air on grenades.
Yes. So boring.
And then people firing a massive rocket into the enemy team, getting yourself into positions that you couldn't necessarily be in otherwise.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
In fact,
if you are the Raze, yeah, that can be fun. I mean, I can't double blast pack, but like, if you are the Raze, I can see how that's fun.
In fact, one of the biggest issues with streamers who go against Raze is that they fall asleep while their teammates are being ulted by the enemy Raze, which is so incredibly boring. They just pass out with their desk.
Yeah.
If I'm watching a pro game, you know what's way more fucking hype? You fucking updrafting and dashing around as Jet with your knives.
Jet.
No.
You know what I think is much cooler than updrafting and dashing around as Jet? Teleporting in with Yoru. And that's a personal preference thing. I'm not saying that's objectively cooler.
You know what I think is way cooler? I think, placing a really tactical brim smoke.
Okay, you're wrong there. Yeah, incorrect. Yeah.
Jet just has more of a hype factor.
I don't agree.
No.
And specifically because I don't think you've ever watched a game with Jing in it.
Yeah, but like there's a difference between Jing and Raze.
Well, sure, there's a difference between Ye and Chambers, or cryo and jets. Like
yeah. Probably the better example is the Sail player and Jet.
Yeah.
But like it's just like I find that Jet on average, and yeah, you're right. Maybe I'm biased because I do play Jet, but like I think it's way fucking sicker to be going in there and tapping heads with your knives.
Yeah. Okay, this needs to be a poll once again. Do this poll if I forget. Is Raze or Jet cooler? Or are they both cool? Well, I guess really the question is Raze totally uncool?
Yeah,
that's going to be the poll.
Because I think that, yes, you're right. It is sick to see people like 180ing in the air and tapping heads with knives. Is that cooler than a Raze ulting? Yes. But is she uncool? No. Because you can get yourself into positions with these double blast packs that make things go like super snappy and really fucking fun to watch.
I think that like I find that like a big problem with Raze is just like a lot of it is just like you do something and then you forget about it and it's less active and engaging in terms of like I throw my nade, it goes over there and it does stuff.
See, the issue is Cass he never developed object permanence as a baby. So when he can't see the nade anymore, he's like, why is there a kill effect on my screen?
It's just like you chuck your nade over there and it does something. Your fucking boombot goes out and it does something. But like the agent itself isn't like what I think is super cool about Jet is like when you're watching Jet's POV. Like when you're watching like a pro stream or a broadcast or whatever, it's like you get to see everything that they're doing, and it's always really cool and exciting in terms of like what's actually going on. Whereas like, is it sick when like you see a Raze nade just light up the kill feed with 4 or 5 kills? Yeah, but like you chuck the Raze nade over the wall or into back sight, and like it's not like now if the broadcast got better and there's a follow cam on this nade as it goes in. And it's like third person, and you get to see all those paint shells explode, and then everybody's stuck in like a Viper Molly back sight and is decayed, and then the Raze nade goes off, and you get to see all them die. That'd be way fucking cool.
So really, your problem is with Valorant observing, not with Raze.
Well, but
replay system.
Let's go.
It's just like it's so much less exciting for me when I'm watching a broadcast and like you see a Raze get like a 2K with the grenade. Yeah. It's like because it's not on your screen, it's less cool, and it's less like in your face about how talented this player was. Like now, I'm not trying to argue against the talent of the player. Like you needed really good game sense to put that nade into there at the right point. You needed good teamwork if you're using a decay from a Viper Molly or like or the Fade C's, right? Yeah. It's like that requires a bunch of really good like teamwork, timing, communication, game sense, just like map knowledge. Like those are all factors that go into it. But those factors aren't shown on the screen for you to watch.
Cass, I am amazed. This is the first time you've ever made the argument of Raze being boring, and you've made it many times to me, that it made sense. Like I finally get what you're saying, which is that you want the kills to be earned by gunfire that you watch. And that you don't like the idea of you not earning your kills with your gun.
That's true. Like the cool things that I think about Raze is more like the getting into positions and taking people, like catching people off guard and then shooting them with a gun. Yeah. Not getting there and then throwing a nade, but it's like shooting them with their gun. So I think that I understand where you're coming from.
For the first time ever, despite doing this many times. But you finally added the missing piece.
Do I think you're still wrong? Yes. But I do see what you're saying.
Okay.
And I see, like, yes, I agree that getting a couple of kills with knives, like getting a 2K with jet knives is way cooler than getting a 2K with Raze ult or with a nade.
Well, I would disagree about the ult. I think the ult requires so much skill to use without getting shot first that in most cases, I mean, you see a ton of Rosa ults in pro games because they don't want to expose themselves. They don't want to expose themselves to the point where they don't get the ult off.
Yeah, but the other thing with the ult is, like, oftentimes you can just, like, assuming the scenario allows for it, is like you can kind of guarantee going 1-for-1, assuming the other guy doesn't hit a disgusting headshot as you're blast backing through the air.
Yeah, not in pro games. You don't see like dedicated 1-for-1.
I mean, I see a lot of times where it's like they get the kill on the Raze, and it's like you feel a bit for the Raze, but like their rocket is coming straight for the person that like just shot them. Yeah, it's like you see that a fair amount. Okay, one of the other things that I wanted to bring up here is like, just talking about the excitement factor, can we all agree that like the Artist 1v3 is the best clutch of all time?
I don't know if
I
can't picture what you're thinking.
Okay, I guess
my 1v3 on the same site was the best clutch of all time. No, it was a very nice clutch, but it was mainly about aim.
Yeah,
and for me, I prefer ones that involve more utility and movement as well.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
If you want to say the best aim 1v3, then sure.
Yeah,
because that was nasty in terms of the flicks he was hitting.
It was just like. And that was so exciting because the observers were on him while 3 people are pushing him.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, they're all like, they're triple peeking him.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna die.
And unfortunately, that clip was probably a bit under-discussed due to all the controversy of the KJ turret bug, which, like, dominated discussion of that game.
But, like, it was disgusting. Like, just him flicking back and forth, hitting the first 2 headshots, getting seized by Fade, being 1 HP, and just fucking balls in his hand. No, balls dragging across the ground.
The balls were doing something that Cass was interested in.
Swung the Fade with 1 HP and head tapped the shit out of her. Like,
this is nuts.
It's just like, that's so fucking exciting to watch. Because you get to see every engagement happening on your screen.
Yeah.
It's gunplay. It's right there. Sure, there's utility flying at him. But, like, the main action is right there in front of you to be seen.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest complaint about Raze in pro games, specifically.
Yeah, see, I guess as I thought about it more, though, the thing is, Jet's nade ability...
Sorry, Jet's nade?
Raze's nade ability is her signature ability, and Jet's signature ability is her dash. You know, you don't, like, just immediately nut seeing a Jet dash. So the comparison shouldn't necessarily be, you know, Raze nade to Jet getting kills with gun, because, you know, neither of those are based on the signature ability. Both of them, you know, they have a movement ability on their Q, which sets them up for kills. And then both of them have a weapon as an ult, and obviously you prefer seeing the jet knives. But that's the part where it falls apart again for me a little bit.
Yeah, but it's like Jet can only kill with guns and ult, right?
Sure.
Like,
so you're saying when you're seeing that person get kills, it's with this or with that. It doesn't really matter which utility it is.
Right.
Much, yeah.
But, like, I guess what I'm saying is that you're not necessarily losing out on gunplay kills on a Raze because they're killing people with the nade, since it's not like a swap. It's
no,
not,
but there are fewer kills to be had there, and also the Raze is putting themselves into less situations in which they're taking those head-to-head gunfights, whereas on Jet, that's the only way you're getting kills, is taking those head-to-head gunfights.
But that also means there's a little bit more risk involved with the Raze, because first of all, she doesn't have a dash, and second of all, she doesn't have the cloud bursts and the updraft she can do immediately. So when a Raze is like blast packing into sight, I think that's a lot more exciting because she could be shot out of the sky at any time. And she needs to land and make a lightning fast decision here. She's not like she's updrafting and then she can immediately be like, see ya, whoop, with Jet as soon as things get scary. Like, you're much more committal as Raze, which kind of ups the stakes that I think makes it fun to watch. But we'll put this in a poll. Mm-hmm. We'll see what the people think.
Yeah,
is Raze uncool?
People think, yeah.
But I at least understand your perspective, even if I still disagree with it. Yeah. But one thing I wanted to say is, going back to the whole thing of Chamber being at 16 and 17 on this chart, that's the kind of thing that I was talking about with, you know, Reyna's up there 1 to 3. I think ideally, starting with the changes I said, but not necessarily those of the ult and Headhunter being reverted to Launch Chamber, I think it would be appropriate to see Chamber easily top 5, or at minimum top 10 in these rankings in ranked play, and then just significantly less in pro, much like Reyna.
But, like, I think the only way you get that is, like the whole thing about Reyna is Reyna's kit is so snowbally. And, like, it's a thing in pro play, too. And, like, the reason why you don't see Reyna as much in pro play is because the caliber of the people you're playing against, it just makes it so much harder to snowball.
And the team play of it.
Yeah, that effect together. I think the team play effect is like a massive component too.
I suppose, but I think that's somewhat disproved by the fact that Ascendant, Immortal, and Radiant still have Reyna at 3. At 3rd.
I think it's more the team play aspect that I'm thinking of, is that, like, when you're snowballing,
Yeah.
in pro play, I think because of the way that everybody has thought out exactly their positioning at any point, it is so much more likely to be traded in like a efficient manner after one kill, and therefore not being able to use your snowball effect.
But that's the whole point of Reyna, that you avoid the trade
with the dismiss.
Yeah. Like, I feel like you're that
in a way, but you're set up in a way that I think can counterplay that better. I don't know. I don't know how people play at Radiant. I've never been there.
I just have to look at it a different way, which is that I think the biggest reason why Reyna is picked and ranked more than pro is because she just doesn't provide much team utility. Not that she's easier to kill or easier to trade at the pro level.
Okay.
It's that, if you're not getting kills as Reyna, you're not providing anything.
I think there's also another big consideration here, which is like, if you're in Radiant, are you really fucking good at this game? 100%. There's no argument against that.
Right.
Are you pro level?
No,
Probably not, right?
Well, not necessarily. But
not necessarily.
The thing is,
right?
pro level so different because you're not playing pro level. Could you maybe be on a pro team given the time to work that out? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But
because
you're not playing in your ranked games at a pro level because you're not doing this.
The big thing is the big thing is that pro level isn't just Radiant Plus.
Yeah,
it's a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are lower ranked Radiants who are better pros than the top 10 Radiants. There are sometimes really high ranked Radiants who just are not a good fit for a pro team despite having tried out for some.
Mm-hmm. No, and I mean, you see it like on like YouTube and shit like that, or just like when some pros are streaming, right? It's like you get a player like the caliber of like EA 10s, like those top tier, like mechanically gifted players, right? And you see them just fucking farming kills in Radiant lobbies because they're just.
Do you?
You don't really.
I watch pro streams like Asuna and other people. And
if you watch the highlight clips, maybe. But if you watch a stream, like half the time they're fucking losing.
I know. Obviously, it's like cherry picked because like the only times I see it are like people that like go onto these people's streams
and they clip highlights.
No. They'll clip the full game. Like the full ranked match will be available, and like you see them. You see them in the rounds where they're not doing good. Like you see the entire game from pistol round to fucking game is over, right? And are they cherry picking interesting games, or like games that like these guys pop
I
off
would
in?
say so.
Probably, but like you can still do that in a ranked lobby. Whereas like that's so much harder to do in a pro game. You dropping 35 kills in a pro game is like holy fuck. You had an outstanding.
But you're also
match.
playing a lot more ranked games, and so there's a lot more games to cherry pick from.
Yeah,
true. But either way, that's my view of it is that by continuing to buff Chamber's dual taking ability while not providing team utility and not restoring the busted TP, more ranked, less pro.
But I don't think you can do that without restoring the busted TP. I think
you restore ult and you restore Headhunter, he shoots up in ranked, particularly at the higher levels.
Yeah,
like maybe not an iron,
but even then, like the TP is what made Chamber. It wasn't his ult. It wasn't his Headhunter.
You can still kind of TP.
Well, I mean, it made him the dominant agent number one in the game, and that's not what I'm trying to get back to. That's the whole point.
I understand.
Yeah,
but I think the position that his TP is in currently prohibits him from being up there. Is what I'm trying to say. I don't think any amount of change you can make to the ult and the Headhunter are going to bring Chamber back into the limelight. Unless you made the fucking Headhunter a fucking golden gun, which would obviously be a stupid fucking decision, right?
Yeah. Why did you even bring that up?
Well, no, I'm saying, but barring that, no changes to Headhunter and ult are going to drag Chamber up the rankings. The fact that his trap is so fucking limiting now, which I understand. If they want to say, hey, you want global utility as a Sentinel, you play Cypher. If that's what they're going for, I understand that. If that's his niche. But, his trap just is so fucking limiting now that it doesn't bring enough value. And the specific range that they set it at, as somebody who played Chamber pre-nerf, is stupidly frustrating. And then, on top of that, I think the largest issue here, or the largest issue at hand here, which I discussed on on length on our Discord with someone is
With your second favorite Discord member?
no, I believe this is still the same.
Oh, with your favorite Discord member.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're in a position where the whole Sentinel aspect that Chamber brought to the table was the, hey, don't come here. I am showing you where I am on the map because I am taking these aggressive duels. Fuck off. Get out of here. This is my area. And he
I would say the biggest thing with Chamber is, you are dead.
Okay, sure. But like you just can't do any of that anymore if you want to be safe with your TP. Because there are just so few angles in the game that you can aggressively take those forward stances at now and get value at saying, hey, don't be here or I will kill you, and get back to safety. Like, the getting back to safety now is the crucial element, because for the attacking team, going 1-for-1 is a damn good trade so long as you don't lose your controller. Like you going 1-for-1 on attack is fucking phenomenal, especially off barrier drop. Like, way later in the round, maybe less so, but like the problem is he can't aggressively hold whatever site he is on. He has to play so much more passively, which defeats the whole purpose of being a Sentinel.
Well, but that's the whole thing of the
You're
ranked
not
versus
controlling
pro.
that space. You're giving that space up.
But that's the thing with the ranked versus pro, because in ranked, you can hold a very aggressive angle, get that first kill, and now you can re-peak because them not being pros, they haven't done a perfect job of communicating how to use utility to make sure they get that trade on you. And so that's where, you can have a similar aggressive angle as before, TP away less far, and still get value in ranked with your good guns, whereas at pro, obviously that doesn't apply.
Oftentimes I'm still fucking dead.
Well, yeah, but you don't have you're not able to use the Headhunter with the cheaper price and better abilities, whatever it was. I forget.
Okay, but like also the other the other really big thing here is like, because of the range restrictions, it's so much more obvious where you are.
Oh yeah.
Like prior to that change, it's like you can be playing aggressive at almost any egress onto site. You can't do that anymore.
Fancy word, probably a French word initially.
No clue. But like you just can't do that. Now it's so much more telling where on the map you're going to be in the first place, because you can't place your TP in any meaningful place on those other areas. And so, like, because you're so much more restricted in where your TP can be, which therefore limits where you can be, and where your trap can fucking be and get value, is like, it's way too restrictive. And that has nothing to do with the Headhunter, with the ult. You can buff that to the fucking moon. And unless you make... And, like, the ult is, as we've discussed, like, the ult is not what makes or breaks a character. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, people fucking play Omen all the time. You see Omen's high up on this chart. His ult sucks dicks.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Like, so you'd have to buff the literal shit out of the Headhunter. And if you make it too good, then it's just fucking broken.
Yeah, I'm saying launch state. I'm not saying you make it a golden gun, like someone said earlier.
Yeah. I think that Hunter has something there where, I think that it will obviously increase the pick rate, but will it get it back to what it was? No, because that's not the goal.
But that's not what you're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah, it's not what you're trying to do in the first place. I think that there is some benefit to buffing the Headhunter and the ult, and that you will see increased pick rate. And will that be enough? I don't know. But does the TP still have usefulness even after the nerf? Yes. It's not useless. So I think that buffing parts of that does have some use.
Yeah, and like I said initially, I'm not married to that being the solution. I just really like it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the only thing that would work. But I just was sort of thinking it as of the Chamber situation as I feel like it's really difficult to get him back as one of the main players in the pro meta without him being the number one member of the pro meta again. I think he's going to end up... I think the only way to do it is to make him a niche pick in the pro meta and make him stronger in ranked.
I can see that, and I don't have a problem with that. Like, I think if Chamber has, like, a map, maybe two, in the pool that he's really strong on.
Yeah.
Like, I think that'd be a good balance, right? He's not ubiquitous. You don't see him on every map. He's just got his place, the same way like Brim does, right?
Yeah.
Brim sees a lot of fucking pick rate on like 2 maps. And I think that's fine. He's really strong. Like, Brim is really strong in his niche. Though my problem is, I don't know how you do that to Chamber without addressing the TP in some way or the trap in some way. I think the only way you're going to see Chamber rise up in pick rate in either pro or ranked is addressing one of those 2 things.
Well, perhaps like last podcast, they've announced a buff as we're recording, so we'll find that out in a half hour or so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not. We'll see. Is what I'll leave that on. Chase, was there anything else that jumped out to you from this chart since you've examined it more than either of us?
I mean, barely. I don't know why, but for right now, I can't seem to find Brimstone in Immortal. I don't know if you guys are looking at the same thing.
I don't think he's there, dude.
Brimstone is seemingly
He doesn't.
not on this chart. Oh, no, hold on. I found him. He's light blue. I still don't see him in Immortal.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, I see him in
Is
every
the
other
bottom
rank.
agent cut off? Like,
Are there 21 agents?
excuse me, are there? But there's no way Brimstone would be at the bottom of Immortal and then
Yeah.
12 in Radiant. Like,
Do
that
you
doesn't
see
really
a
make
duplicate
sense.
somewhere? I
Man,
don't.
this is going to be incredible for the audio listeners.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll figure this out after the podcast. I'm kind of done
Breach.
talking.
Breach is duplicated.
Breach is duplicated.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That is the classic thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone
Oh, because Breach
confuses
and Brimstone are the same fucking
Exactly,
agent.
that's what I'm
At least
saying.
I'm not the only one that fucks this up.
Someone else fucked it up.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I can't believe they duplicated Breach on here and left out my man. Now the question is, I'm going to post these in the chat, but which one do you think is the Brimstone?
Oh shoot! Hold up. I actually think I know what they might have done. I'm not 100% sure of this, but you'll notice the 1 through 10 of Immortal and Radiant are exactly the same. It's possible they like copy pasted like from Radiant to Immortal and then didn't change Immortal.
Oh, I see. Like forgot to change Immortal.
Yeah, because that's the only time that you have that perfect lineup of the entire chart. So I think that.
No,
might
but
be what
also I
happened.
can see Immortal 3 and Radiant just being very similar, because like Radiant is just like the very, like it's the top 500 players that happen to also be Immortal 3. So I could see them lining up very well either way. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm not saying for sure that's what happened. Anyway, I was trying to think. Yeah, well, the other thing that I think I touched on briefly is that it seems like Riot does really look at a combination of ranked and pro pick rates to determine if an agent is, needing some help.
Yeah.
And so, based on that, it seems like I could, I'd bet huge money on in the next couple months Harbor receiving significant buffs.
I think
just
so.
because he's at the rock bottom of both ranked and pro. Like, that's going to be a red flag to Riot based on the way they've operated in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Gonna wrap this up here.
Yeah, I think that's
Sure.
about all.
Get out of here. I mean, good to see your guys' faces in person.
This has been a surreal and incredible experience. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy all talking about like around the same mic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gather around the campfire.
Yeah. But with that, we will drink with you later.
Amen, brother.
Cheers.